Test. Yes! Did it. Although I don't remember putting the thing up, my chat on this one. I definitely didn't do that, but I think because I copied and pasted, everything just went with it. Alright, hang on, listen. You know, I'm just gonna leave it there. You guys can just stay on the overlay over there, whatever. I'm muted. Fuck you, Trash Talk. You actually got me that one time. I'm not muted. I can literally see the bars moving over there, so screw you, bro. Alright, anyway. Hi, binary over... no, look at this. We can't have this. Okay, we're gonna fix this. Please hold. I am a professional after all. What do I want to do? Is this Ninja Chat? Can I move that? No, that's not Ninja Chat. Can I move this one? How do I move it? Why can't I move it? Oh my god. This one? It's just stuck there. It actually stuck. My OBS is broken. It's not popping up on my screen anymore. Well, this is embarrassing, isn't it? Alright, there should be something, Ninja Chat. Where the hell? Oh well. You guys are there forever now. Anyway, hi. So, I am back. I am beyond tired. I have the frizz with the Riz today, and we're gonna get comfortable because we have like 2 hours and 38 minutes to watch of this interview, which, by the way, if you saw the freeze frame that I see, I think it's about to go precisely how she is frozen in time. I don't even know why I can't fix that. That's actually bothering me. Why can't I move it? Like, why? Why, bro? Ninja Chat. I have too many Ninja Chats on here, and I don't know why. Ninja Chat all. Anyway, whatever. All right, let's try this overlay. What happens if I do that one? Let's see. When I'm supposed to say overlay, yeah, I don't even see overlay. So annoying. No. Sometimes I'm just not smart. I can't move it. Why can't I move it? Oh well. So anyway, hey Disparu, do you want to join and watch this glorious 2 hour and 40 minute stream? Well, I can share it with you on Discord. Alright, well I guess that's gonna stay like that for now, guys. You're gonna see that little mini chat like that. I'm gonna make it a lot nicer next time. I don't know how to do that because I'm Waterhead. Okay, anyway, there's a whole bunch of you guys here already, and I don't know why, but thank you for being here already. I'm not at home. Are you in the place where I think you are? Is that the place that I think you are at? Is that where you are, Disparu? Where you were telling me you were? Or are you somewhere else now? Anyway, Cajun Corey for 5 says, hey Blabs, one of my fondest childhood memories was building sandcastles with my grandfather. That is until my mom took the urn away. So anyway, thanks for the 5. Anyway, alright, let's just boogie this, guys. Alright, let's see. If I do this button, and then I close that, I'm really wondering what happened in my chat overlay because it's completely broken. Isn't that sad? Anyway, alright, Mally's texting me and I don't know what she's saying. Okay, let's see. Where the hell is my thingamabobber? I set it up before. You know, guys, I am really a professional here. Will this work? That won't work. I gotta do this. I gotta do Windows. Okay, let's see. Capture method. We're gonna do... There we go. Will that work? Aha! We did it. Okay. So, I don't know why it's, I'm gonna move it slightly up now. There we go. Okay. There you have it, guys. All right, so as you can see from this glorious freeze frame that we have, now that is later. This is just a day trip, says Disper. Look at it. This is annoying me. I have double and I can't move it. That is so frustrating. So frustrating. Why are you the way you are, OBS? Like, legitimately, my freaking thing has just like disappeared. My overlay. It literally supposed to say chat, and it just, I don't know. It's just not moving it. You know, it's fine. Whatever. Can I move it now? No, I can't. I'm totally gonna have to edit this when I re-upload. I'm a professional. Why can't I move it? Okay, I found it, but let me move it. Is it gonna work if I do that? Okay. Look, it's literally not letting me, like, move. Wait, what if I do this? What if I just move this out? I fixed it! Yes, I did it! Aha! Okay, I'm gonna put you guys over here. I don't know where to put you at this point. I'm just gonna put you over here, then we'll go right behind me. Boop. Okay. You guys can stay there. Done. Okay, that's what it was. Okay, I have figured it out. Not to worry. I've discovered stuff. I'm just talking to myself. Anyway. Okay, I figured it out. The problem was, in case anyone's curious, is I had it in a subfolder and you can't move it in a subfolder. I had to take it out and then put it back in. Anyway. I love catching pretty people with a derp face. Well, this is perfect. Alright, so you guys need audio. I think we're good to go. I'm gonna turn my phone over. There's a million DMs. Okay. Gronkin raid? Bruh. Thanks, Lethal, Moz, Cream, and Extra. Also, you're all waterheads. Okay. I'm really gonna use that word from now on. Okay. Ready, guys? Let's do this. Let's go for this.
I realized I have the career and the life that looks like the dream. But are you really happy, Emma? Are you really healthy? And have to admit to myself that I
love the music
was
already.
one
It's
of the
just
scariest things I've ever
super
had
music.
to do.
The #1 health and wellness podcast.
Jay Shetty.
Jay Shetty.
The one, the only Jay Shetty.
On a side note, I'm gonna mute that for 2 seconds.
On purpose.
Oh wait, no, hang on, they're talking. Okay, so I used to have to deal with stupid Jay Shetty when I was in college. My accounting teacher would literally stop what she was doing to show us this clips of motivation and whatnot. And I'm like, I just want to do accounting. Yeah. Disper says rich as fuck and still miserable feminist for surprise. Damn, bro. Okay, let's do this.
You're here and, you know, you've kind of been out of the public eye for a while now
Yes.
and don't do that many interviews. I've watched the interviews you have done even before we planned to do this. And I wanted to ask from an intention point almost of why now, why today, why here?
I think I mentioned, but I read your book because my dear friend Nooper told me that I should. And every now and again, I would see you come up on my feed. I don't spend much time on Instagram anymore, but when I did, I just felt like you were having a different conversation. And it's not that I
Wow, people have different
stopped doing interviews
conversations.
because
Way to go.
I want to hide myself away. I think it's because I wanted to be able to have a certain type of conversation that I didn't seem able to find a space for. And so I called Nooper and said, I think I just reached out to Jay to see if he would let me come and do his podcast on Monday. And she was like, I've been waiting for this. I wondered when you would do this. I was like, how did you know I was going to do it? She's like, I don't know. I just felt like this was coming. So
And it's totally backfired.
here I am. And you said yes, and the timing worked. I contacted you last week and it's Monday. And so
Well, that
No,
means
you're right, Disper. She's not said anything. And this is a 2 hour and 38 thing. What are we gonna do here? We're gonna have to do 1.25. Let's go.
it's the world to me, truly. I'm so grateful for that because the few interactions and conversations we've had since then, and you've sent me a few things to read over, whether it's journals or reflections. And honestly, I think I just said it to you a few moments ago, and I mean it. Even if we weren't having this conversation today and you just sent me those things to reflect on myself, that would have already been a gift. And so the opportunity to actually sit with you and to talk about these things and have the space to have a conversation that you feel you haven't had before means the world to me. And so thank you for trusting me. And I look forward to getting to know you so much better. But let's dive in. I wanted to start by asking you, like you said something there that was really beautiful because you stopped for a moment and then you said it's easier to be honest.
Can we get
And I was
in the
wanted
chat?
to understand what that meant to you and how that feels.
Such a big part of my job was trying to think 3 steps ahead of how everything that I would say could negatively impact the film that I was trying to do justice to and do service to, and make sure that people understood what the director had intended. And I felt this enormous sense of responsibility all the time to honor so many people's work that put together something like a film, or even to some degree, I just did a fragrance with Prada, and it's the first perfume bottle that you can like refill. And I don't know, I take my job seriously, I guess. And so interviews to me felt a lot like chess, and it required so much energy. And I think what's nice about the way that I'm showing it today is
Saying, how do you like your new paycheck is a lot of energy, huh? You literally just have to sit there and be like, yo, I worked on this big blockbuster movie. I had a great time. It was my childhood. She must, like, never experience real work, you know? Like, I'm not knocking being an actor and, hard working, because they work, like, probably, like, 8, 12 hours a day, but, like, has she ever done, like, physical labor? Like, I heard say stress for doing an interview, okay?
Just showing up for myself. And
I'm truly trying hard not to shit on her, because Emma Watson was my childhood, like idol, right? She's only a couple years older than me. She was the coolest thing. She was so pretty. I mean, she still is very beautiful, obviously, but like, bruh, never meet your heroes.
Once I'm not here to speak on behalf of anyone else or anything else other than myself, which is unusual.
Yeah, I think it's such a fascinating thing because as a viewer, even before I got closer to the industry, as a viewer, everything's made to feel in traditional media so
it's so hard to make
and
millions before you're 12.
It feels like you're getting someone's real personality. Yeah. And then you realize that there's definitely reality to it and truth to it.
Yes.
But at the same time, naturally, it's work.
Yeah.
And there's a job. And I think it's not as, and you can shed more light on this, I don't think it's always as insidious or as dark as people may think it is, but there's just, it's a job and it's work and there's results that matter. Yeah, right?
100%. And I think within those contexts, everyone is trying to be as authentic as they humanly can be. But there's something about, I think it's why I mentioned earlier about why I felt like this was a good space, is there's something inherently written into certain types of forms of media, which is that it doesn't matter what intention or how authentically you want to show up, the form like somehow doesn't allow it to some degree. And I've become obsessed with this recently. I've been looking at, okay, what is written into the form of something like Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or a podcast versus
it's called the algorithm.
Or a photograph versus a film versus a piece of writing. And it's
stigma,
really interesting
girl.
to see what a different medium or different form allows or doesn't allow, and or like actually creates or encourages. I've never done a podcast before, but I think what I love about it is the intimacy of it. It's like, I feel like people listen to podcasts when they're like, I certainly do anyway, like first thing in the morning when I'm taking my shower or I'm going on my walk or I'm making my breakfast. It's really like personal, intimate time. And I think the long form version of these kinds of conversations allows for such a different kind of discussion that I didn't think was possible before.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I was going to ask you actually, because I want everyone to get up to date with where you are now. Like, what is your day-to-day life look like? You just said, like, I wake up in the shower.
What are you doing, Em?
What does your day-to-day life look like right now, and what's it made of, and what are the things that you love and look forward to?
I recently started riding a bicycle, and yes, I started riding a bicycle before my driving ban, but now it's particularly
this is perfect.
I
Let's
also
go.
ride a bicycle for that reason. But
Oh, that was mainstream news.
yeah, oh my God. I was getting phone calls, like, it's on the BBC, it's on international, worldwide news. I was like, my shame.
I covered it.
It's everywhere. This is,
Hi, Blake.
I mean, what I say, I don't know. I think in a funny way, what the sweetest result of it was getting so many messages from people being like, happened to me too. I feel you. This is awful. It sucks. Which was kind of nice in a way. But
Want a lift?
Yeah, totally. I do need a lift. It's like, actually, yes. But I think, again, it's funny. Like, I went from, when you work on movies, I don't know if people know this, but like, they literally will not insure you to drive yourself to work. I've asked so many times.
So you have to be driven.
You have to be driven. It's like not a choice. And especially because they need you there, down to the minute, basically, depending on what they have going on. And so I went from basically only driving myself on weekends or during holiday to then when I became a student, driving myself all the time.
Girls are ridiculous.
Yeah, I did not have the experience or skills, clearly, which I now will and do. But I think, again, this was one of these like awkward transitions I made from kind of living this like very, very structured life to living a life where I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to get myself to this place and I'm going to like do this thing that I've basically not done since I was 10 years old. So it's been a discovery and a journey that's been I guess humbling.
Well, to be
because
fair, okay, so like this person says, what insurer to drive clever people. To be fair, though, it's like for everybody, because I even read that in Tom Felton's book, which, by the way, there's a video on my channel all about it, reviewing it, and he mentions it too, that they have to drive you as part of insurance because they don't want you being injured and all this other stuff, and they also want you there on time. They don't want you being late, so the professional drivers take you everywhere. So yeah, makes sense.
On a movie set, I'm able to do all of these like extremely complex things, stunts, sing, dance, like do this thing, do that, whatever. And I'm like, yep, don't worry about it, guys. No worries, I've got you. And then I get home and I'm like, okay, Emma, you seem unable to remember keys. You seem unable to like keep yourself at 30 miles an hour in a 30-mile speed limit. Like you don't seem able to do some pretty like basic life things. And it was definitely kind of, yeah, I had days where I just wanted to turn around to people and be like, I used to be good at things, okay? I used to be really good at things. And I know it doesn't look like that right now, but I can do things normally. So yeah, it's been humbling.
I feel like all of us can relate to that though. Because,
Really?
Because doesn't everyone forget their keys, their wallet, doesn't know where things are? Like
She
these are
has no
like
voice.
and by the way, I think I was
Amazing.
3 points away from losing my license before I moved to the States.
Thank you for that confession. I appreciate that so much.
Because I was in the States I've been in the States now for 9 years. And I think it happened but then all the points get wiped off. And
Wow,
I think I'm now back to 6 points. I spent 2 months in London a year.
Okay, this makes me
every
feel
time I go back, I seem to...
so much better.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I'm confessing.
What,
to
do you not know how to drive in the UK?
A
Like
lot of
this, bro, what's up with you
actually,
guys?
a lot of people have like taken it upon themselves to come and confess to me, which I found like very endearing.
By the way, let
and,
me know
like,
how the
really
audio
appreciate
sounds.
it. But no, I think, I think something I've been realizing is most of us live in a state of like, I'm just trying to kind of figure it out and keep it together. And the only thing that is different between us is people's willingness to be honest about that, the degree to which they can admit to, actually, I'm just like scrabbling around trying to keep the pieces together versus, oh yeah, no, everything's amazing and everything's incredible and I'm having the best day ever and aren't you? And, so I do love the people who are just willing to be like, yeah, it's not going so well today. I'm like, great, amazing, what a good starting point. Like, I don't know, failure as a starting point I feel like attempting things is so compelling. And of course, success is wonderful, but I love to see people who are like, I'm really bad at this, but I'm going to try. Like, I love you. That's everything to me. Everything.
That seems to be becoming
She
harder and
hasn't
harder
said a
now.
whole lot
Like
yet.
that
I'm really
desire to
trying not
attempt
to be a
something that
bitch, but we're
you're good
10
at.
minutes
Yeah.
Because
in
it's
and like she's
exposed, or
not said
because
anything.
everyone will see it or because everyone will hear about it.
Yeah.
Talking about attempting things, I mean, you're currently studying,
Yes.
right? You're learning.
Yes. Well, two things I want to say there is, I think in a way I was I'm someone who's always cared about vulnerability and authenticity, but I think I was also forced into it to a degree that maybe even I wasn't ready for, and that like I just started so young that like I had to learn in public. I had to make mistakes in public and say, oh, okay, now I've learned this, and I had to be willing to go back and be like, like there were some gaps here, and here's what I know now. And I think I agree with you. I think it's becoming increasingly difficult to learn in public and continuing to learn. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why I have
There's a foot now.
gone back to school and why I continue to do it is because I want to make sure that I have things to say that are worth saying. And I think you can only do that if you take a minute sometimes and listen
a moment,
to
in the
people who
moment,
aren't
use the
you,
moment.
and like not just the sound of my own wonderful voice. So yeah, it's been great. And I think also I wanted to be inspired. I think being around, my favorite piece has been being around young people who still believe that the world is malleable and things are changeable and that like anything can be done is such important energy. There's so much dystopian fiction at the moment and dystopian movies.
It's so dark.
It's so dark. And I'm just like, what happened to thinking about the utopia? What happened to like planning for the best case scenario? Like where did we lose vision, excitement, imagination, possibility? So I think it's been it's been wonderful to be around young people and just to sit there and listen, frankly.
What do you mean? I don't get it.
Wait.
Wait. She just says it's been nice to listen to young people. She was living on a set with how many hundreds of kids for 10 years? What are you talking about, girl? I think I'm losing the plot. Who plans for the best case scenario? I don't. Apparently Emma does.
So much. Do you have to take yourself away to do it in order to be able to do it? Do you have to cordon off time? Like, how are you still managing to study and learn? Because that seems like it's important to you.
Yeah, you reminded me as you were talking of one of my spiritual teachers, my monk teacher, who always said to me, if you want to move 3 steps forward, you have to go 3 steps deep first.
Whoa.
And what I found often in my life is I'm trying to go 4 steps forward and I haven't yet gone 4 steps deep. And so it's almost like, I mean, this is probably a terrible analogy, but maybe thinking of the movie The Substance. I don't know if you watched it.
I didn't see
Okay,
it.
fine. Okay, terrible. Let's remove it.
No.
No, let's forget about it. But it's that idea of like every extra step you take when you haven't learned and you haven't experimented and you haven't attempted is taking away from your ability to move forward.
Wow.
And sometimes I think when we feel stuck or when we think things are not moving or they're not progressing, it may be a sign to say, well, pause and go deeper for a second, or pause and go inward for a second. And so to me, hearing that from you, I find that, and I definitely fail at this all the time.
It's fine.
There are so many times I'm trying to push more forward than I've gone deep. And so whenever I notice that in myself and I notice that I'm just kind of trying everything and nothing is working, it's actually just the universe and self saying to me, go read, go study. And so I found that I've had to really carve out time to make time to do what I love, which is to read and study. But I found that I'm someone who doesn't love 30 minutes a day. I'm not that kind of a reader. I'm someone who needs to read for 3 or 4 hours, if not more. And so I found that carving out deep immersive time is more important to me than this kind of mechanical 30, 40 minutes a day, which is great for you if that works for you as a habit. It doesn't for me because I'm a bit of an extremist and I just need to spend a whole weekend reading as opposed to, you know, I don't need to read every day. So I'll try and
Why is he
once
talking
a
about
month on
himself?
a
This is supposed to be an
weekend
interview with
to just
her.
absorb
Shut up,
into
Jay.
a subject that I love, and I'll take a course, I'll go to a class, I'll watch a TED Talk online, I'll read as many books as I can, and I try and immerse myself that way. What's your learning style?
I'm the same as you. And actually, someone who I really respect and ask for advice for often, and I ask for feedback on myself, he said to me, Emma, I think if you did 90% of what you wanted to do at 50% of the speed, you would get so much more, like life would be so much better. And I was like, wow, 50% of the speed and only 90% of what I want to do. And he was like, I think that's the minimum, to be honest. And I was like, wow. But I think, what you said resonates.
I didn't know Owen Wilson.
I often have to remind myself that it's not about speedily getting somewhere. It's just not the point. Things are supposed to happen with a certain timing. And so, resonates. And to your point, I cannot just sit for 30 minutes and look at something. I need kind of like a week on holiday, and then I'll start to deeply get into something. And I need quiet, and I hyper-focus. And that's when I love it.
Just tell me your privilege without telling me your privilege. I need a week on holiday before I get into something.
You said that you felt that you had to learn in public and that you made mistakes. Like what were mistakes that felt like mistakes then that made you feel like, oh gosh, I made that mistake in public, but I was 10 years old or whatever it was. And now you look back and you think, oh, I was able to process it.
Yeah, I think the big one was feminism and intersectional feminism. And frankly, it just like wasn't taught. I had to really seek out, and I'm really grateful actually that I was in many ways quite lovingly called in, as opposed to, I mean, some of it was not, but I think
let me know how the audio is. Can you hear me?
That was definitely a moment where I had to say, okay,
pretty well.
I'm talking about something really big and important, and it's actually really important to sit this in some context, which I have not done. And I think that was a big moment. I think it was more, there was an omission, there was things that were missing, as opposed to I'd said something wrong. I just needed to fill in more gaps. And so that was when I started, or that was actually in the middle. I had a feminist book club called At JKR. And so that was part of those conversations.
Who does that?
But it was a good moment for me to
I had
learn
a
that
feminist book club.
feeling uncomfortable sometimes is good. And then we have an alarm system that goes off, which is like, I'm uncomfortable, this feels uncomfortable, so something bad must be happening and I must leave as soon as possible. And actually, I think that was when I started to learn, actually me being uncomfortable in a space might be a good sign, because it might mean I'm about to learn something. And I want to attribute this, that was Mara Larasai who helped me understand that, and was a very, very valuable teaching. So now when I'm in a space and listening to things and I feel uncomfortable,
She's in a space.
I don't think it means I need to bolt or something bad's happening.
You should just feel holding
Maybe
space
something
with
really
it.
good is about to happen. Yeah,
and I feel like that goes back to what we started with, this idea of attempting means discomfort.
Yeah, it does.
And attempting means incomplete.
Yeah.
And I love that point you made, that actually whenever we're sharing anything,
God,
it's
how
not that
long
it's
are
not
we
true,
into
it's that
this?
it's not complete.
18 minutes.
Yes.
All right,
And
chaps,
mostly
we're
when
here
we
for a
see
while.
people say things or share ideas, it's very rare to have anyone
didn't
ever
count
share
on my
a complete
overlays.
idea, because that means they would have had to think about it from every
Something to
single
think
vantage
about.
point,
Yeah.
which is not even humanly possible.
It's not possible. And I think Adrienne Marie Brown, I don't know if you've ever had, she wrote an amazing book, which is one of her more recent ones, which is called Loving Corrections. And she speaks to kind of exactly this, which is there's kind of this like ire that we see online when people don't attribute something perfectly to someone else, or they're missing something. And it's like, isn't the whole point of this that this is true in conversation? And if it's the right person, you can see that a good intention is there, then maybe we can kind of do it in a way that doesn't need to be, I mean, obviously there's important time and place for holding people accountable. But maybe, I don't know, attributing like, great, we're all going to help each other kind of pad this out, fill this out. Yeah.
It's a hard, I think that's the hard part. It's like, how do you differentiate between holding someone accountable and giving them grace? And that's a really interesting discussion in and of itself. And I don't think I have the answer or know exactly what it is, but I feel like that's a thought exercise as humans that if we were to do, it would actually, I don't know. What's your take?
Maybe the grace is attributing good intention, and the accountability is the courage it takes to actually say something to someone, because it's such a scary thing to do, and it often requires a lot of emotional labor. And I find this a lot as a woman, especially as a woman who's dating, that like I will just be like, is it worth me explaining? Is it worth me explaining this thing? Or should I just not take the time to do this? Because sometimes I care about doing it kindly and compassionately, and it's very rare for me to attribute bad intent to anyone. But, you know,
except
sometimes
for
it does
JKR.
fall on deaf ears. And you're like, that text message took me like 40 minutes like to word perfectly, or that voice note or whatever. And you're like, is this making a difference? Like, am I getting through?
You
to
have to spend, wait.
Like,
Homegirl just said she spends 40 minutes working on a voicemail. You know, the sorting hat shouldn't have sorted into Gryffindor. It should have sorted you into therapy.
Is this label worth it? But I think I don't have a perfect answer. I haven't lived through enough of it to know. I guess I've just reached a point where it's like, I'd rather.
Oh my God, I really miss her when she was younger, not
and maybe
stupid, or at least
even
we
if it's
didn't
not
know
now,
so much
even if
about
it's
her.
at some future point, like something I've said just like goes, oh, something. But the back of my mind here, someone says something to me, then, you know, maybe it's worth it.
Yeah.
I will never believe that one negates the other, and that my experience of that person, I don't get to keep and cherish.
Thank you for the 2 on Rumble.
To come back to our earlier thing, like I just don't think these things are
say, my God, she's so
people
obnoxious.
Who don't agree with my opinion will love me, and I hope I can
much.
keep loving people who I don't necessarily share the same opinion with. And I think that's a very, very important way for me that I need to be able to move through life. I really do believe in having conversations, and I guess where I've landed is,
No, she doesn't. She totally tried to cancel J.K. Rowling. How do you believe in conversations when you say what you say?
But very often, how we say it.
When you think about Little Emma,
yes,
like what was a childhood memory that you have, a core memory that you feel has defined who you are today somewhat?
I think I won't share the specific memory because it's so personal, but I think I've always felt other people's pain very intensely. Until maybe recently, I did not know how to give myself grace and navigate seeing my sensitivity as a strength, and
She's
knowing
gonna cry.
that it's like my gift.
You're gonna cry.
But it also
Where's
means
Toby
I have
when
to
you need
care
him?
for it in specific ways. When you are given gifts, there's often you kind of have to compensate in some other ways. And in the same way that like my position in life and fame has given me this extraordinary power, it's also given me a lot of responsibility. And these things often have these kind of, I don't know when or why it started, but I think I've always, whoever it was that was suffering in the room, I was always the most aware of them.
You saint!
I think that has formed a lot
I have
of why
seen their
I could act. It
pain.
was almost like
She's
I was kind of
Galadriel.
sucking all of this in, and then I needed to let it out somewhere or unleash it somewhere.
I have
and I remember when my parents saw me on stage for the first time.
Perfect.
Where
Thank you.
did that come from? You don't have any of these experiences. I recorded a song for my 12th birthday. My mum bought me a day in a recording studio. And I sing Natalie Imbruglia's Torn like I've had my heart broken 50,000 times. You know, like I've been married and divorced and whatever. And I'm 12 and I've never had a boyfriend. And I don't know anything about love.
Thank you very much, Aramis, for the 10 subs.
I would imagine, I can't say for sure, I would imagine that my family structure has not been a traditional family structure. And that feeling of knowing that I'm from a situation where we just don't quite fit the kind of nuclear family mold. And I think coming back from France and trying to figure out how to sort of integrate, and being the eldest and having my younger brother and having my mum, and like trying to sort of be some sort of glue or holding together for everyone's feelings. I'm pretty sure that's probably where it started.
Yeah.
And then I guess just being aware of other people who might feel the way I did, which is like, who else in here doesn't feel like they quite fit?
I've always found that it took me a while to recognize, but when I did, it was so helpful. That
Oh my
a lot
God,
of what I
these
do
people
today is
are
because
fantastic,
I mediated
aren't
my parents' marriage growing up.
Yeah.
And so I developed all these skills
Can we get
of
some
listening
in
and
the
empathy
chat,
and
guys?
grace
Every
and
time,
compassion
every
because
time.
I was doing it for two people that I loved.
Yes.
And I see it as a strength. And yes, it comes with certain things for sure. It comes, you're absolutely right. But at the same time, I've always seen it as a strength.
Yes.
And it's something that has served me well in my marriage. It served me well in my relationships. And at the same time, it has certain consequences that make you different or make you process things differently. And so, and I remember one thing you shared with me that I was reading it. You said, I used to spend my weekdays with mum and my weekends with dad.
Yeah.
And
This
you
food
said it
has the
almost felt like you were
patience of a
changing
saint.
costumes sometimes.
Yes.
And they're all like this two lives kind of thing.
Yes.
And I feel that's so relatable. I feel like so many people can relate to that, whether their family was more traditional or wasn't. I think every child has had this feeling of not fitting in quite and not knowing which life they're meant to lead.
I changed it.
And that
We're
feels like
upping
it's
it.
kind of
Yes.
played into yours.
Yes, for sure. I think it's
She's
also
having a
why
good
I've
time,
had to
guys.
really navigate my relationship towards art and acting, because I'm pretty sure that I was using acting as a way of escaping how painful my parents, like, it wasn't just the divorce, it was just like the continuing situation of living between two different houses and two different lives and two different sets of values.
I get that. That's okay.
And as a child, like, being aware of like, we don't quite have the support we need here for this. Like, this is not quite like
the whole bingo.
I think it does. It made me a slightly serious child because I was like, had that consciousness. And then when I would go
I can kind of
and spend the
understand
weekend
this, right?
with my dad,
Like, your parents divorced. She has
very different set
extended
of
family
rules,
members
very
now,
different
siblings and
situation.
stuff. I understand
And so
that. She
you
only has
do
one
kind of like,
main brother. So I can
I
understand,
think
you know,
everyone can
that.
relate to this to an extent, that it's not that you
But,
are like wanting to become different people, but it's there are different
it's all
expectations of
about
you in
her,
different
isn't
places
it?
that you understand that you need to fill. And so I think some of that split then became, I was like, okay, wow, you know, my parents have very different views on different things. And the hard part of that was that no one gave me any easy answers. It meant I had to form all of my own opinions myself because there was no consensus.
You want to think for
And
yourself.
it made me a critical thinker
dear.
for sure. And so that was amazing, and also really like, gosh, okay, I need to decide what I think is important in life and what my opinions are. No one's handing me this. Yeah, maybe it also made me aware
because she's got a younger brother.
like
full
not
younger
wanting to be
brother.
so split as well, and why it's been important to me to try to remain whole.
Yeah.
In all the different circumstances of my life, and ask myself questions about how I can do that best, because I think I experienced as a child that the split is painful. Like if you're living a reality one way but presenting something else, those are the moments when you can really feel torn apart. And I recognized that, and I didn't want that to be my life. I didn't want pretend to be my real life.
Yeah, I mean, that's so, I can so relate to you personally on the idea of not having a blueprint and having to create my own.
Yeah.
And how often when you don't have a blueprint, you feel you have two choices, and that's where you feel torn. Whereas when you look at it as a whole and go, okay, well, now I get to craft my own narrative from this, and I may take a few pieces from here and a few pieces from here, and I'm going to form my own puzzle.
Yeah.
But I don't have to choose a path.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful when you do it, but it's really hard in the beginning because it just feels like there are two paths. And I wanted to talk about how much that's impacted, you know, your work. And you said that one thing you mentioned that really stood out to me was you felt that acting was in some way escaping that kind of which version do I have to be? And I think so much of what we do for work, or so much of what we pursue as humans, is based on something we're trying to build, create, maybe escape from, maybe to reveal something. And I think we haven't often looked at work that way. Like, sometimes we choose a career because we know it will make our parents happy. And so we're living a pattern. Or sometimes you choose something because it breaks the pattern that you were growing up in. And it's fascinating to me to look at that. And for you, you were acting in school plays since you were a young girl.
Yeah.
And was acting always something you were going to do, or do you feel like it was this cross section of what was happening in your personal life that
What do you
actually
mean? She was
made
like
that
a
feel like the
9 when she
direction you would choose?
auditioned. How would she
I
know?
think it's so interesting that you said those words, reveal and escape, that they're kind of the same thing, because I think that it all started with a poem. I did a poetry competition when I was 9 called the Daisy Proud Poetry Competition. And I'm actually naturally quite a shy person. And so actually for me to stand up in front of people feels like an out-of-body experience. Like there's so much adrenaline coursing through my veins that it does feel like a moment outside of time. And I remember the exhilaration of living the kind of ups and downs of this poem. And maybe because there wasn't space to have conversations or express myself at that time in the way that I needed to, I did it through performance. And I also did it as a way of getting to feel
This
free
podcast came
for a
out
moment
last
of,
week before
of
J.K.
what
Rowling's
I was,
fatality.
like
of
the
Emma
discomfort
Watson.
of that time of not quite knowing who I
Heck.
was or how to be in the world. And as I've become more healed and whole and more comfortable being myself, it's been interesting to ask myself, do you still need acting? Do you still need to act? Like, why, what are you doing that for? And like the kind of, it used to feel like almost like a compulsion that I needed to do it. And what's really interesting now is I don't feel quite that kind of urgency of needing to do it. And I wonder if it's because actually I have spaces where I can now take some of those feelings and talk about some of the things I don't think I had space to voice. Without doing it on camera.
She's holding a lot of space, isn't she?
Yeah.
which is scary in its own way, right?
Yeah.
It's easy to think, oh, that makes sense, but then it's like, well, no, it's really challenging to do that second part.
Yeah.
Even if it makes sense rationally or logically. And was that what in 2019 when you kind of pulled away? Was your reason I want to heal and work on myself, or was it actually I don't feel a compulsion anymore? Like, was that the inflection point of doing some self-work, or was that the inflection point of I need to pause?
I realized I was drawing on painful stuff in my life that I was actually healing, and I didn't want to keep revisiting in order to do some of the more intense, scarier, sadder things that I had to do. I remember by Beth's deathbed, by her graveside when we shot those films, like normally there are like these painful memories that I would use for those moments. And I realized, I was like, I don't know if this is super great for me actually to keep revisiting these, or if I want to use these as my tools.
Well, then don't use them as your
I don't
tools.
think that means I'll never come back to acting. I think it just meant I was like, I wonder if there's a different way to do this.
Duh.
I think the second thing was, to be really honest, I was coming to those sets with an expectation that I think I had developed on Harry Potter, which was that the people I worked with were going to be my family, and that we were going to be lifelong friends. I came to work looking for friendship. And that was a very
I went to work for friendship.
Outside of Harry Potter and in Hollywood. Like, bone-breakingly painful.
Yes.
Because most
It
people
is the
don't
same
come
as
to those
Breaking
environments looking
Bones.
for friendships. They're looking for, this is my chance, this is my role, this is what I want out of it, I'm focused, this is my job, this is my career, like, let's go. And I was not of that mindset. And so I found the rejection really painful.
The friendship rejection, yeah.
Yeah, of like, I was like, I think it's so unusual to make a set of films for 12
This
years.
nails it.
And we were a community.
She's so
like,
wealthy.
We really were.
She can't
And
possibly
so
imagine doing
I took
something
that
because they
as
have
an expectation into my other workplaces.
Like, I understand
and
you don't
I
think
just got my-
someone's
I
your,
just got
like,
my
you
ass
thought
kicked.
someone was your friend
I
and they
really did.
weren't because
Was it
they obviously go
competition?
off
Was
to
it envy?
different
Was it
jobs
just
and all that. and you don't
hierarchy?
keep in
Was
touch.
it-
I understand
I think it
that's
was a
a bit
combination. It was
upsetting,
a
but like,
Molotov cocktail of all of the above. As we
Pick yourself
mentioned
up, girl.
earlier, I'm just not thick-skinned.
No,
Maybe I just
clearly.
wasn't built for those kinds of highly competitive environments. It broke me.
or she's gonna cry. Where's Bully? Bully!
But in a way, I'm proud that it did, because I guess that means I have something left to break. I have a heart left to break.
Ah, Bully McGuire,
So-
where are you?
It was a hard learning, but
Gonna cry.
I think there's something that I'm proud of in a way. There were certain things I couldn't withstand. I'd much rather keep my humanity.
There he is. There's Bully.
I think that might be a tissue around there. If you need it, Emma.
I'm managing to like
There's-
keep
I
the
know you
tears
are, yeah.
inside.
If you need it, there is a tissue.
But that's really
yeah,
kind.
yeah.
Thank you.
No, but I really appreciate you saying that, and I mean, it's so powerful to hear how you've processed it, like just what you added there. Because when I saw your voice change and just really expressing it, and it hit me as you said it, and I felt it, and then the way you reflected on it kind of helped that feeling rise really beautifully, because what you said is so true, that if you were broken by a frequency of envy and competition and whatever else it was, that's only proof that you were vibrating in a way that didn't want to be pulled down into that. And it's so interesting though how when we break to those sorts of emotions and ideas, we feel we're the weak one.
Yeah.
When it's completely the opposite.
That was the most painful thing. Was I thought I beat myself up for years afterwards, really thinking like, punishing myself, saying you couldn't hack it, you weren't strong enough. And yeah, what bliss and what peace, I think, to understand that to have come out on top would have been a greater failure, I think, in terms of who I actually care about being.
Yeah, it's almost like if you abandoned yourself in that moment in order to align with that new way of thinking, you'd probably beat yourself up more long term and have a much harder time.
Yes, I think so. I don't know, I've just got to this place where it's just, if it costs me any part of my peace, it's just too expensive. And of course, like, there's opportunities that I think, wow, like that would be amazing.
Has she said anything of value
I care deeply about
39 minutes.
Work. But I think it's just,
and this is on 1.25x. Imagine on one, she'd
sacrifice myself for whatever the thing was I was trying to achieve. And that could be a grade, it could be a movie, it could be promoting. I just was obsessed with excellence and doing everything,
not
giving
to
my all
dunk
to everything,
on her,
doing it to the best of my ability.
But it's just so hard.
Unless you have the right people around you that can hold that kind of level of commitment, you're going to get smashed up. You're just going to get crushed. And so I think now it's just a case of me being like,
a very bad idea for you, Emma Watson. Don't do these podcasts
anything,
ever again.
I have to have people in the room that care about me more than whatever the product is or whatever the final product is. And if that isn't the case, I cannot be there, because I'm just someone who like gives it all. It's how I'm built. And I think understanding that makeup of myself and not punishing myself for that, but just knowing it needs certain kinds of conditions is how
she's 35. Dunk away. I know she's 35, but like I don't want to just be a hater, myself. You know?
Yeah, it seems like I've spoken to so many, and we were talking about this last week when we were speaking on the phone, that I've worked with so many young people, musicians who've all been told, like, all right, if you don't do this over the next 12 months, you're not going to make it.
Yeah.
Or like, if you don't do this right now, if you don't say yes to this song or this movie, it's like, you might as well wave it goodbye. You're never going to get the Oscar or the whatever it may be, or the Grammy or whatever it is. And I can't imagine being a young person, like I'm 37 now, and you process ideas like that differently.
Yeah.
But if you're in your teens or even 20s, and maybe even 30s, but you process those statements with so much gravitas, especially when it's someone of influence and power saying it to you. And it feels like being surrounded by people who really believe in you and your longevity and your art but that's hard to find.
It is. It's hard to find. And, you know, I had a wonderful team. Like I really did. I think it's just like understanding that no one at the end of the day is going to be in the room. Like when you're actually doing the thing, you have to carry that moment and you have to carry that pressure. Also, making films, the hours on them are so demanding that to have your own life alongside that, to have that balance is almost impossible. It's so all or nothing. It's so all encompassing, especially if you're in a lead role.
We can still comment and criticize what she has to say because she's just so uneducated.
Through these, you know, working 6 days a week, 14 to 16 hour days. And then you're just kind of dropped off at the end of it. And maybe you'll have a 2 or 3 month gap. And then there's just kind of like nothing. And so you're like riding this like incredible peak of like adrenaline and cortisol. And then you just get like dropped off the edge. And then you're like, okay, wait, now I have to be a functioning human again. And I have to like figure out how to be a person in the real world. And I think some of those extremes then force an actor to either decide, well, I'm going to back to back it. So I'm going to basically go from one movie to the next. And that's going to be my full life. Or you have to navigate these huge impacts on your nervous system that you need a system and a support system to help you navigate. And I think it's why addiction and mental illness in my profession
so hard.
and a lot of
6 month gap.
high stress, high profile professions is so commonplace because you're trying to balance out
the whole
these
you have a
enormous
routine and it just
chemical
crashes and burns
ups and downs.
like, you know, the
Yeah,
next
talk to
day
people about
after
why.
like so
Because
many
I think
years.
from the
I
outside,
understand that,
Yeah.
right?
when someone sees a red
are
carpet,
lost.
Yeah.
I get
when someone
that,
sees an
but,
event, it looks really glamorous. Like until I
perspective
ever
on
attended
how much
anything,
money
and
you
you know,
have,
I
and,
always looked at
you
it
know,
as like, oh my
everything
gosh,
that
it's
you
so
can,
glamorous, and
if you
everyone's
need
there,
help,
and
you
everyone
can
must be
go get it,
friends,
you
and
know?
everyone must know each other because they all, you know. But then you're not saying that, and neither is. And anytime I've ever been on a red carpet, everyone's anxious and everyone's
Yes.
nervous, and that's the
Yes.
real experience.
Yes.
And people are almost waiting to leave.
Yes.
And some people do the red carpet and leave immediately. But what's going on there? Like, walk us through. Like,
I mean,
for people who may not.
I think the first step is to just understand, even though you're wearing an incredibly glamorous dress and you're there to do something exciting, I don't think there's anything that can make it not weird that people are screaming at the top of their lungs. Like it just, everything in your
you
body
have
says something's
fans.
wrong. Like
The
people are
horror.
screaming, something's wrong. But then you have to try to pretend as though this
You're
is all
unfazed.
normal and you're unfazed. So you have like two things going on. One, you're like navigating this like sensory overload that's like telling you, oh my God, something is really wrong.
Telling you how to pose, telling you where to
Yeah.
look, telling you.
Yeah, so you're trying to navigate, okay, something feels wrong, but I need to also simultaneously make it seem as though I am the most graceful and the most calm I've ever been in my whole life. And I need to like pose for this person, and there's 50 different cameras, and I need to make sure that I look perfectly into each and every one. And I probably would have had 4 different notes from the stylist about how I'm supposed to stand and what I need to do for the dress. And then I've got like 25 different talking points from the movie
Oh no,
of
it's
like
so
what I need to get
horrible
across
posing.
and also avoid saying or talking about. And so like you need to be thinking about that. And
Guys.
the juggle's crazy. And then
Pity her.
I think
she's got to be able to
everyone is
answer
in this
questions
like
and pose.
kind of jumped up state. And so like trying to have a normal conversation with anyone is basically impossible because you feel like an insane person. And so these are not environments in which you like have a nice chat with someone, really. I mean, maybe if you're really lucky and you've worked with someone for a long time and you've established some trust. But I think that was the other thing that was like really difficult about movies and what like I kind of laugh at. Well, not in a mean way, but like, you know,
Should
you
we
always get
cry
asked when
again?
you're like promoting these big films, like, so do you guys hang out on set? And like, do you guys hang out? And like, are you all friends? And everyone sort of like nods enthusiastically. But the truth is no one has seen each other outside of work, like very, very, very rarely. Mostly because the schedule is insane. Everyone's so tired that when they get any time off, you're going straight back to your hotel room to try to like claw in any piece of rest that you possibly can. And like, I don't know, like friendships require time and trust and presence, and those things like very rarely come about. They can and they like do occasionally.
She's
but
full of
it's more
shit
of a,
because a lot of the
more
Harry
of a,
Potter guys are
you know,
still
solo
friends
eclipse
to
than a-
this day.
than an everyday situation.
afterwards.
So yeah, but you have to.
We can literally go through Tom Felton's Instagram where he literally just did some type of like sponsorship with one of the Phelps twins, right? Which plays the Weasleys. You can go and look at David Holmes, who was Daniel Radcliffe's stunt double, I should say. So not even like up front and center on camera, and they're all still friends. You have a lot of crew members from the Harry Potter movies who are still really good friends with the actors and vice versa, and the actors are friends with the actors and blah, 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 and it goes on. There's tons of them who all hang out still. So her saying, oh, we're not actually friends, blah, blah, blah. Maybe it's you, Emma. Did you think about that?
Pretend. I think that's the part that starts to feel icky after a while, is like you have to pretend that you're all best friends. And what's so sad, and I know this isn't just the case for me, but like I think people wish they were.
Yeah.
I think we wish we did have those real connections
go
and we did
make
have that real
them.
support. And so having to pretend that something exists that you actually really want but don't have is like it's like
That's it.
pretty grainy in the wound, you know? It's like it's pretty like tough pill to swallow to have to act out something that you wish were real but isn't real.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
so
that's the part that
sad.
starts to kind of, yeah, I can only speak for myself, but those are definitely the moments where I've been like, this feels dark. Like, is anyone else like, this feels dark?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's
Haven't
such
you
a real
pretended you're
reminder
friends? Have you
that
never had
it's still
coworkers
work.
that you're like,
And
yeah,
it's
we'll be
almost like
friends, but
asking
you never
anyone who
know?
works at any company and saying, hey, do you hang out with your team after work every night? And the
No,
answer
I'm
is
desperate
probably
to go
no.
home,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, everyone wants to go home to their family.
Yeah.
And maybe you've got of course, you've got a couple of friends at
Yeah.
work. And it's wonderful if you have a friend at work that you work out with or see after hours, but you're not
Yeah.
hanging out as the whole crew. It's very unlikely.
100%.
And it is that reality check of, no, but this is also just work.
Yeah.
And their character stories are not their personal stories, and it doesn't. And that's why I wanted to go back. You mentioned there, you talked about how Harry Potter had a family feel, and I wanted to ask you, how did that come about in the first? Like, where did the auditions come from? Like, how did that become a part of your life?
Yes. So I
Yes.
did not go
we
to a
really
performing
need that
arts
bingo card,
school.
you know?
I'd never done anything. I never acted professionally, but they came. They did like a basically countrywide search to find Harry, Hermione, and Ron. And so they asked my school if they wanted to submit any students who love drama who wanted to audition. And so I was one of, I think, about 12 students that was asked if I wanted to audition. I don't know. It was weird. I had this weird, weighted, fated sense of
Yeah, well, Rupert's was better.
destiny
He
pretty
rapped
much
his
from the
audition
moment that-
for Harry
that
Potter.
They said
Can't beat Rupert.
they mentioned the audition. I remember
Weasley is our
I
king.
brought, I think, maybe like 7 different Beanie Babies with me along, and like all these different like lucky talismans. And I loved the world and the books so much. My dad had been reading them to me before bed when I would spend the weekends with him, and on long car journeys. We'd often drive back and forwards to France, and that's how the time would be passed. And so I was just like, loved the world, loved Hermione. And for me, it wasn't so much about acting so much as it was that like the books meant so much to me personally.
Did you feel like it was destiny for you, or did you always feel like it was going to be this?
I
'Cause
always
obviously the books were already,
I always felt like Hermione was, I knew I was never auditioning for anything else. Like I knew it was her. I don't know how to explain it. Something felt right about it. And my poor parents, because if I hadn't have got it, I think they knew how crushed I ended up doing 9 auditions over a period of over a year and a half, which for a 9-year-old is
a lot of work.
a massive commitment. But I loved her. I loved it. I really did.
What do you wish now that you would have known before you became Hermione?
I did a pretty good job. And
Okay.
actually, I give my mother specifically credit for this. She was like a warrior for my
She didn't audition for
normalcy
Luna. Luna
and for
wasn't
me having an
introduced
ordinary
until
life
the
and going to
5th
school.
book.
And no one wanted that. I mean, it would have been considerably easier if I had not continued going to school.
Hi, angry Canadian.
But wow, like I will forever be in her debt. She somehow knew that me feeling part of the ordinary world and feeling I had a place in it and that I belonged outside of those films was going to be crucial.
Wow, that's really incredible.
It was, because she basically didn't have anyone on her team. She was kind of on her own on that one. And she fought tooth and nail. She was like on the phone for hours saying she has to sit her exams, she has to go back, like she needs to be here, she needs to have some parts of a normal childhood. And yeah.
Well, yeah,
forever in her
I
debt.
agree. Children should
That's so
have normal
special to have had
childhoods.
that.
Yes, good mom.
Have those, to have a parent who can
Yeah.
foresee, like, and
Yes.
you can't see anything for yourself. You're
Yeah,
a
no,
child,
and to
like-
be honest, I didn't really get it.
No, of
If I'm
course
gonna be
not.
honest, I was like, okay, like I guess it's important. Like I'm not, I didn't really get it. So I think, yeah, she was amazing.
Yeah. When did, because from what I was reading, from what you shared with me, when did Emma Watson and Hermione and the characters that then followed start to get blurred and intertwined? Because
Yeah.
that expectation that comes
She's
with,
really digging it, guys. I need a
remember
bingo
this,
card for
and I
this
share it
sex
because
stuff.
to give it to context to people, I was walking down the road with one of my friends who's an actor who gets recognized 100 times for every one time I get recognized. So just put it in context. And so if we're walking down, like this person gets stopped 100 times for pictures, and then
Yeah.
I'll get stopped once. And it was really
was the
beautiful
yep,
because
we
we'd spent a
heard
day
that one.
together, and that person had been stopped 100 times, and maybe I'd been stopped a couple of times.
Mm.
And then they said something to me. They said, Jay, you're really lucky. And I said, what do you mean? And I thought they were going to say, because I'm anonymous to some degree. But they didn't. He said to me, he goes, Jay, you're really lucky, because he goes, when people stop me, they stop me for who I play to be. And when they stop you, they stop you for who
Come
you
on,
are.
chat, let's go.
And it was really encouraging words from someone that I respect a lot.
Mm.
And I was like, wow, like I never thought about it like that. It hadn't hit me
Yeah.
how different it was.
Yeah.
And because I think you just see fame or success or whatever it is, this one big bubble of stuff, especially when you're not that close to it, or you don't know too much about it. And it was that conversation that made me be even more personal with everyone that I ever spoke to, because they'd always have a personal story, or and that's not to say that isn't true for music and for acting. And of course there is. I don't want to take away from that.
No.
And I'm not saying that as a egotistical statement. I'm saying it as like how hard it is for an individual
that's amazing.
to go through that.
Yes.
And to be
Yes.
disassociated from themselves.
Yes.
Because that role could be a part of you, it could be an expression of you, it was a part of your life at a certain period of time, but of course it isn't you.
Yes.
But does that make any sense?
I remember when I gave my UN speech about he for she and about feminism and women's rights, and people started
I'm
stopping
crying.
me
I am.
because of things that I had come from me and that I'd said. It felt like a very significant transition for me, because for the first time, I felt like I could look someone in the eye and receive and accept something that they were saying, because I felt like it actually had something to do with me. And I wasn't just kind of a custodian of something sacred, which I did take very seriously and I still do, but it had been a direct transmission from me. And I think that's why writing has become so important to me, is because it's a way that I can say things directly, and that feels really meaningful.
Yeah, I love the word you just used there of the difference between being a custodian and, direct transmission, you said. And that's such an interesting way to think about it.
Oh
and
my
I think
God.
each and every one of us
Hermes
don't want to be
actually
known
made
as
me a
a lawyer
bingo
or an
card.
accountant or a doctor or yes, that's a part of us, and it's a role we play in society, and it of course brings significance and
Look at that.
value and worth and all of these wonderful things. But I think everyone
Oh,
wants
you
to
guys
be
can
something
see
beyond that, and no one wants to be
There
that
you
in their
go.
home, and no one wants to be that with their friends, and
Bingo.
no one and me included, by the way. It's like
Well,
I try,
thanks,
me and
Hermes.
one of my friends who's a well-known stand-up comic, we always joke about how he hates to be asked to tell jokes on command, and I try with my friends to not say smart. I try not to say thoughtful, revelatory things, because with my friends I just want to
God,
be.
this thing is amazing.
I don't want to have to coach someone's marriage or solve their thing. I don't want to do that. Like I just want to be. And so even for someone who is doing direct transmission a lot more of the time, even then there's a feeling of, well, I don't want to say anything profound in this conversation.
I need to put this down.
I need to put the one down, right?
Totally, yes. I think a big piece of me like understanding again like why I needed to take a minute is that like even being the person who was promoting the work became a kind of role. Like Emma Watson became this like avatar, this person that I identified with, but also kind of didn't. She'd become reproduced so many times over, and kind of had become so loaded by all of this different stuff that she almost felt too heavy to carry. Like I kind of was like, I don't even know if I can be that bitch anymore. Like, I
arrived
like 2
late
years ago,
and I still
it was the
haven't
best
learned
confession
anything.
ever. But I was like messaging this person, they were like, Emma, and he was like, can I just say something like, Emma Watson makes me anxious? And I was like, Emma Watson makes me anxious too. Like,
That's so
we
good.
are on the same page. Like, I get it. Like, I can't even be her. Like, I don't know how to be her, live up to what I look like on the cover of a magazine. I don't look like that. I can't. I don't
it's
know.
literally
I don't
you
even know
with
how
some
to
more
touch
makeup.
what that
A
person's
little bit
become.
of effects, whatever
It's
they
kind
do.
of a funny realization at some point where I was like,
Right,
I
that's
need to
where
step
she
off this thing,
is,
'cause
Emma.
I just.
How many
once
people are in
I
our
don't know,
head?
there's such a glamorization that comes hand in hand with being a public famous person, especially if you're a woman. Like
Emma
I feel
Watson makes
so
me anxious.
envious of my
Emma
male
Watson,
co-stars who can
2025.
just put on a t-shirt and show up without like this like whole rigmarole of kind of becoming acceptable enough to be on camera. And like kudos to Pamela Anderson recently just like doing the thing, because it's like the amount of courage it will have taken to do that, like I cannot even begin to express to you.
You're 35.
wild.
You're fine.
The
You can go outside without
expectations
makeup on. You're still
are
beautiful. Like, with the
insane.
shit.
It's impossible.
I'm not going to call Emma
So-
Watson
Not on
ugly because she
vacation.
never will be unless she
Yeah.
does something to her face.
Yeah. Just the beauty expectations
Jesus.
are so difficult to reach, and the bar gets raised all the time. So it's like you're on this constantly, like I don't know. It's like some sort of
She's above average. What is she going on
Survivor's Island
about?
game show beauty nightmare where I don't know. It's nuts.
Just
so
ignore the trolls.
Yeah, I think part of also not feeling like Emma Watson is just like the whole like glam squad culture.
Part of not feeling like Emma Watson. Does she know who
It's
she is?
intense.
This is so stupid.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating because there's almost like this learning of becoming, becoming Emma Watson, becoming, being all the roles
What
you
are
play.
we doing
And then
here?
it
This
almost feels like
learning
what
of
you're saying is
becoming?
there was a moment you wanted to step off
What is
and
he
unlearn what that
saying?
meant.
Totally.
But that seems really hard
Yes.
because
Yes.
learning it was hard enough.
Well, she
and
is
then to
definitely
unlearn it
above
when it's linked
average.
to
That means she's
your
beautiful.
work, your
She is.
finances,
She's
your
way
work,
above
your
average.
friendship, community, connection, all of the where you live. How do you even begin to unlearn being Emma Watson?
It's a knotted ball you have to sort of unravel very carefully. And
Carefully, that's it, yeah.
yeah, I think,
It's not like a wrecking ball, like you're not just...
What?
I mean, some things had to be done like the wrecking ball, honestly. And then some parts of it were like a
Goddamn.
much slower, more gentle teasing out. But I mean, I don't know if you find this, but I imagine that a lot of your friendships are made through the podcast and made through your work. And
like a
there's kind of this,
wrecking
like,
ball.
non-separation between your home and your family and your relationship and the podcast. But tied into that, there's also like the very real, some people will be wanting you to reference their new book or like promote something for them or whatever. And like navigating that so many of these threads are entwined, does it ever start to feel like you're like, wow, this is a lot people ask me all the time, do you ever wonder why people want to hang out with you or be your friend or whatever? And does that ever get complicated for you?
I think because my direct transmission is so clear
Mm.
that if anyone in the industry wants to connect,
Yeah.
there's usually quite a distinct journey that they're on
What?
that
Yes.
mine
What?
can support or
Yes.
help with
Eh.
as a friend
Yes.
or
Yes.
in a
Stop
more
it. She's
formal
gonna have an
capacity.
orgasm over there.
That I deeply enjoy and I'm grateful for, because people are not inviting me out to crazy parties. And I'm happy.
They're
about-
not?
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, they don't think I'm
Come on,
fun
Jay.
enough. Yeah. I just saw a clip of the other day of Austin Butler saying he's never been invited to a bachelor party before. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. But that kind of feeling, like, I don't get invited to crazy parties, and I'm grateful for that. I don't.
Yeah.
That's not really a part of my life,
Right.
unless it's a spiritual party, and then I'm all game. And but there isn't that, and so sometimes I think it's a good. My direct transmission is a good protective
Protection.
mechanism
Who
because I don't
calls
really get asked to
the
come to things.
personality
But
and
then at the
stuff a
same time,
direct
it takes me to get to know
transmission?
someone deeply. Like I just
Thanks for
traveled
the
with a friend
dollar. Say
to
D or
Greece,
Rumble.
and we played, and I don't think they were anticipating this, but we played 3 nights of poker from midnight to 7 a.m. and it was amazing, and I loved it, and I had the best time. And I don't think they expected me to do that. They expect me to get to bed early, but I was on vacation, and I was
You're
like,
like, "Let's do
I'm
this."
game, yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
and I won. So I was like, I'll take it, and I'm very competitive in that way, and I
What does
enjoy
this
it.
even
And so
mean?
I think what it is for me is, I think there's a big thing for me has been from, I grew up as part of a big community
Mm-hmm.
in London,
Yeah.
and a big
Yep.
spiritual community that I became a part of when I was young. And I think that what
We'd
I
all be
found
drunk
is
and
it's
so
very
far
difficult
right
to
now.
discern for people externally
So
and
bad.
even for people in that community as to how close they were to me.
Right.
And
Right.
so there are some people that assume that because we sat in a class together and there were
Right.
200 people in the class,
Yeah.
but now that their opinion on me or that their relationship with me is close,
Right.
when in actuality, I've never had a one-to-one conversation with that person.
Right.
And so now their opinion matters to the outside world, it matters to the media, it matters to whatever. But I actually don't know that person and they don't really know me.
Right.
It's just so that we
Right.
went to the same congregation in the
Right.
same year, which
Bye, Jody.
has thousands of people in it. And so I struggle with that. And then I also struggle with
What the
people
fuck?
coming up to me and saying,
Thank
I've known
you.
you for 20 years and, like from back in the day at the temple. But I'm like, we didn't ever have a conversation. And I
right.
still have all my best friends from that community that are still my closest friends.
Yeah.
And they also feel the same way because they see it. And so I find that very difficult.
What
Yeah,
are they
that's
saying?
Is hard to navigate because it's not that I don't have positive feelings towards people or the community or anything. I do, but I struggle with people feeling they know me when they never did.
Right.
But they've almost created a
Okay.
story within their mind
course.
that they really knew me well. And because it was a big community, this
Right.
isn't a group of school friends or something, which I'm
Right.
still really close with. It's more this expanded community, which you were just visible
Yeah,
in.
I
Right.
agree.
It's
This
not
guy's
even
talking
audible
way too
or-
much. Like,
or
shut
if that
up,
makes any
Jay.
sense.
No, that makes perfect
I
sense.
was free of this guy for 5
being
years
part of a
plus.
larger community would be
And now
tricky to
we're back
navigate with.
listening to
Yeah.
him.
With the kind of, I guess, like being a famous person in essence is like lots of people can project lots of things onto you. And like if they had some level of contact with you, it makes those kinds of projections a lot easier. And then you're like, oh, wow, we're in a completely different, like your experience of this is so different from mine.
Yeah. And yeah.
Thanks,
and,
Disper,
I mean,
for
yours is like a million
clarification.
X
I was
that.
lost
And,
there.
I can't imagine how hard dating is. Like you talked about in some of the journal reflections that you
Yeah.
sent me, like this idea of just like dating is hard as a 20-year-old, 30-year-old
Yeah.
woman anyway.
Yeah.
And then to add
I think dating
your
in
life to
general
it.
is hard for
Yeah.
Talk
everybody.
to me.
We don't
You've
have to say
referenced it
for
a couple
women.
of times in
Yeah.
conversations you've had. Like,
Yeah.
what does it feel like when you're having a normal conversation and someone goes, wait a minute, you're
Yeah.
Hermione Granger, Emma Watson.
Is she self-partnered
list
again? Has
goes
she
on, yeah.
ditched the man
Yeah.
buns,
And
Disper?
it does feel like my avatar enters the room unexpectedly
Her
all of a
avatar.
sudden. And then I'm
You think
like
she's gonna be a
navigating a
VTuber?
completely different conversation if someone hasn't figured out that it's me yet. And that can feel really dehumanizing and sometimes quite kind of seeing someone's like behavior like completely switch and turn and change can be kind of a jarring experience. I think what's nice is at the very least like dating for everyone is basically a complete disaster and free for all. So like I feel like I'm in good company in that sense. But I think it's funny, occasionally people will apologize to me for the fact they've not seen my films and I will be like, please don't apologize. That is bliss to me, like music to my ears, that like you're not going to constantly be navigating and me also navigating with you this projection of me or this Emma Watson avatar person will not be this ghost in the room. So that's happened a few times where people have been like, I'm really sorry. And I'm like, please don't apologize. I'm so relieved. I'm so incredibly relieved.
And then you realise they have the box set later on.
Yeah, no, oh my God, I hope not.
The
But
DVD, yeah.
I mean, I guess like I want people to appreciate my work, but I think knowing you don't have to navigate that extra like degree of weirdness is helpful, a relief.
How do you help people get to know the real you at this stage in your life?
You know, I wrote this play that I actually sent to you to read, but I actually read parts of it to people because
God.
I find that trying to explain sometimes how weird
When
it is
you
to
meet
be me,
someone here, please read my play,
like,
and
I
then we
always
can be
need
friends.
like, it's so difficult to convey like how weird it is and how surreal sometimes that sometimes I'll just be like, can I just like read you the thing I wrote because I think it's going to shortcut you somewhere. And so that's actually been incredibly helpful. And I'm so glad I went and did this.
Like, I wouldn't
this
mind
creative
reading a
writing
script or
masters,
something a
and I've
friend
spent more
makes,
time
whatever
writing
it
about
is.
my
Be like, hey,
experiences
what do you
because
think? Let me know
sometimes
your
I can't even
thoughts. But if
articulate
you're
it to
making
myself.
friends
Like,
that way, like, here,
how are you
read
supposed to
this, then we
explain
can be
to someone else
friends,
you can't
huh?
really even understand for yourself? So I think writing, creative writing, making art has been the best therapy I've ever done because it's helped me get clarity and also just be able to laugh at myself and laugh at the situation. I think one-on-one therapy can be amazing, but like there is a kind of intensity and a seriousness to that maybe when you're writing something down, and when I wrote the play, I wrote it for my friends and family, and I was able to kind of bring more of myself to the picture in a way, which is someone who's like, this is just nuts. Like, I just can't, like, I can't, sometimes I just
think she's
genuinely
nuts.
cannot believe that my life is my life. And I need a place I can put that.
Yeah. I loved, so just for everyone who's, hearing about the referencing of this play, Emma wrote a play
Yeah.
which helped her closest friends and family understand her experience of life, basically.
Yeah.
Right? Is that a bad description?
No, it's not a bad description,
Yeah.
but like specifically, I wrote the play about me transitioning from basically being a full-time actress,
Yes.
an activist, to trying to move home and like be a normal student and attend a normal university as a super famous person.
transitioned.
And I basically kept a journal of what those experiences were like and chronicled them for my
speaking
friends
of
and family
journals
for
and
about a
stuff,
year.
She used to do that on the Harry Potter sets. Apparently, she used to write like almost every single day, and she has journals full of just writings from every single day on set or whatever. Like, this girl has like a lot of journals.
And then performed it as a one-woman show at the end of the first year and handed that in as my first year piece of work. And yeah.
Did it get an A?
It got a distinction.
Oh, amazing. Great. There we go. I love it.
It actually
deserved
did.
it.
Not that was the point, but it kind of wasn't the point. But I think the coolest thing was like, I read it for my roommate, for example, who's been living with me for 7 years. And he was like, wait, stop. He's like, is this actually how you feel? Like, do you actually feel this? And I was like, yeah, I wouldn't have written it if I didn't. And he was like, I had no idea.
She's been living with a guy for 7 years. He's got to be gay.
And so for me, who I perceive myself to be this like massive open book.
Unless she's
actually I
living with
realized
her
I was like,
brother or
wow,
some shit.
I think I'm doing a good job of bringing the people that I love along
Hashtag
with me on what
roommate.
this feels like. And actually, I'm not saying nearly enough or explaining it in a way where it makes sense.
Yeah.
And so even my parents
The
were just like,
narcissism is
couldn't
flowing.
believe it really. Yeah.
I'm sure they were brought to tears by parts of it.
Or he's hanging
I
on
was
death
so
for
moved by it,
one
and I
day
really
for
hope you do
chance.
one day make
Maybe.
it a production in some capacity, because it was so moving and so powerful, and it was, Emma,
Just
honestly,
think-
it was what every
Saint D says this is boring. Just think, this is on 1.25x speed.
ever tried to explain to me about their experience. Yet
Imagine on 1x.
put so succinctly, powerfully, and meaningfully that anyone could relate to it. And I think anyone, meaning anyone who's ever felt misunderstood, loved for what they have and not who they are, seen for parts of themselves and not all of
That's
themselves.
fair, strange.
And I really believe it would be such a service to everyone to share it one day in however way you decide to, because honestly, I was gripped. I was completely captivated. I couldn't put it down. I feel like I'm going to read it again and again and again. It's not something that I think you read once. Not only are you a brilliant writer, but it is so true and honest. And for everyone who's listening and watching, I think the lesson from it for me is that your therapy could turn into something creative. That when you shared that with me when we were speaking on the phone, I was so in awe of that therapy in one-to-one setting or in whatever way of healing you believe in, if it turns into something you have to put together to communicate to others, that's the revelation. Like, the revelation is in that process, not in the listening, telling, speaking. That's great, and that's a part of it. But if you can go one step ahead.
Truly, I feel this like urgency and like desperation to communicate this specific piece, which is like, make art about your experiences. Like, the neurosis of being a writer or anyone making anything is like, I don't have anything valuable to say. It's all been said before. This is so self-indulgent. This is so narcissistic. Who even wants to hear this? This is bad. I thought all of those thoughts probably most days as I wrote this. But trust me, like, whatever you think people know about you or they know about your life or how you feel about it, they don't, and they need you to write poems, write songs,
Oh, yeah,
make
this is
pictures,
fine.
write plays, and you don't need to
I agree
be
with all those
someone
things.
with the title of
yeah,
an
no,
artist
listen,
to
write,
be able to do
make
that.
art,
You really
sure,
don't.
why
And in
not?
fact, I have to
I got
write on my
no,
mirror. I
nothing
have it
against
written
that.
on my door, I am an artist, because I don't think
know.
anyone feels like they deserve that title. I've been making films and writing and making art since I was 9 years old, and I don't feel like I deserve that title, and I have to work at it all the time to feel like I have anything that's worthwhile saying. I really understand the struggle. I really, really do. But there is something about doing it and like having a physical thing, because I think so many of these thoughts and feelings live in our heads, and it's not a great place for them to live. They need to come out somewhere. And once you can put them somewhere, then you're free. Being understood or feeling like you're understood by the people around you has got to be the best feeling in the world. And I think it's what we're looking for when we do so many things, but often that's not the way to find it. And I just, God, yeah. If I honestly, I want to go to every person in the street and be like, you need to write a one-person show about your life and then perform it for your friends and family. Or like, you
She's
need to,
done
like,
that? It's a one-person show?
Paint the thing, write the song, like, just do it, because it's kind of one of the best, most meaningful things I've done.
Yeah.
Trying to make
The
sense of
most beautiful thing you've ever done is to write a
And I
one-person
love
show.
that you did it
not
for your family. Like that's
be
the
one
part
of
that
the
proves to me
best
when you say the message of
characters
make your
in one of
art
the
and
biggest
you know,
franchises
you don't
of
need
all
to be a
time.
full-time actor or a director or movie filmmaker. It's like you actually lived that part. And that's what I love about it the most is that you didn't make it for a stage or a
one-woman
movie or a
band.
documentary or whatever.
And honestly, first I wrote it for myself.
Yeah.
I didn't think I had the guts to read this aloud to anyone. I thought it was just for me and maybe like 2 other people. And performing it for I didn't even invite my family until like 2 days before, because I just didn't think I had the courage. Make art for people you love. Like, make beautiful things for people that you love, just for people that you love. Like, that's one. I guess like I had the extraordinary experience of making things for like the world, basically, from such a young age. And I never made anything that I didn't feel like needed to be shared publicly. And I remember when I made Little Women, I mean, that's such an amazing thing about Louise May Alcott, is that she wrote those stories for her sisters. And so many people's journeys and paths start because, yeah, out of love, they wrote them for just one person. There was a certain point I remember in my life where I was like, right, I'm done with university now, and now I'm going to just like focus what I should be doing is just focusing full time on being an actress and, you know, doing all of that. And I had completely missed, actually, that Emma, the academic, Emma, the student, Emma, the person that needs to constantly be learning things, facilitated my ability to be a famous person.
She is a bit
and in
full of
Hollywood.
herself.
And that without her, I actually couldn't do it. I need to have both.
This is why rich people
and
get
that when
depressed.
one gets stripped away, and like, even as and I explore this in the play as well, it's like, even as I have returned to some form of normalcy, ordinary life, whatever that looks like to me
Emma
now,
the person.
like, I also
versus Emma the
can't kill
editor.
her off completely.
Who
You know,
is
my
it?
public person, there's parts of me that like still does need those outlets and to do those things too, and I'm figuring out what those are. But I think that's what's so complicated about being human is it's yes and, not either or. It's we need to be all of ourselves so that we can do the extraordinary things that we want to do.
It's a one
Maybe it's
woman
about not
show for
leaving
Emma
parts of
Watson that
ourselves
Emma Watson
behind.
doesn't want to watch.
Like, kind of finding a way to keep threading the tapestry of all of it. Yeah.
I think that's, I mean, you've said it so well. And I really feel that that's what it's been for me. I feel like as humans, we're very good at being like, okay, this chapter of my life is over.
Yeah.
And we do it
Thanks,
because
Emma.
labeling helps. But it's like you went from being a toddler
Yes.
or an infant, and then you became, you know, a teen, and then a young adult, and then an adult. And then, so we have all these labels.
Yeah.
And it almost feels like we live our life that way. It's like, okay, I was a student at university. If I went to university, and now I have a job and I'm an employee or an entrepreneur, whatever it is. And labels are useful, so I'm not going to say they aren't. But what ends up happening is you start labeling phases of your life,
Yes.
which means
Yes.
now there isn't a yes and.
Yeah.
It's an either
Yeah.
or. So it's like, I was an actress, now I'm going to be an academic.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, I'm an academic and an actress and a
Yes.
whatever
Yes.
else,
Yeah.
you know.
Yes.
And I think that's what it's been for me. It's like, I know that the people that know me best will say, Jay, I love you because we can talk about spirituality, we can talk about business, and we can talk about communication, media, art. And I love you because we can do all those 3 things in one day.
Yes.
And I'm like, yes, I feel so seen.
Yeah.
Whereas if someone only said one of those
Yes.
things, I'd feel so limited. And what I've realized is I'm now at a place where I've given myself permission to be all of myself, even if others don't give me permission to be all of those things.
Yes.
Because,
Yes,
yeah.
queen.
And how amazing to get to that
slay.
point where I realized for a long time I was pushing for, I need everyone to understand me, and I need them to understand these decisions, and I need them to understand that I'm all of these things. And I'm like, but do you really, Emma? Do you actually really need them to get it? Or is it enough that you get it, you see it and understand it, and you're making it possible and giving yourself permission to do that? And I think once I kind of let go of like, oh, okay, it matters way more that I accept myself than that I spend so much energy and time trying to force other people to see these things about me. And then paradoxically, of course, once you let go,
People start
getting it. Yeah, which is funny.
Emma, how do you see love today?
God, what a great question. Oh, how do I see love today?
She's gonna cry.
Okay. I think I have an answer for this. How exciting. I was right there for a minute. I was like,
Self-partnered.
something to say. God, I hope I do. Am I that deep? Yeah. Okay. So I think that we don't talk about love nearly enough, or I think we need to talk about it so much more, because I had such a, not a misunderstanding, but I think I had a very limited understanding of it for a long time, which was that we see in Disney movies and Hollywood movies this idea that like falling in love, once it's sort of happened to you, it's like irreversible. You know, like step into this portal that you can't get out of anymore because you've fallen in love. And actually, I think falling in love might be quite easy to do.
Yeah, right, this bro?
In some ways. That's sort of the easy bit. The
She's
hard
got
part is
someone.
finding someone who actually wants to be in a dance with you and be in some form of partnership with you. And things like, can you argue well? Is the conflict that you have generative? And can you make someone else feel safe? Like, and when I say safe, I don't mean like out of physical danger. I mean like, can you either respond to a text message quickly enough that doesn't send the other person into like a complete free fall, and or not pelt them with so many that they feel completely
So
overwhelmed
just send
and
one
flooded?
long text
And like
message.
that kind of like compatibility and that kind of willingness to be in this like, is this okay for you? Does this feel good to you? This is how it feels for me. And like there's like that constant back and forth and that constant check-in is like a game of chicken in a way, of like, can you find someone who's willing to be as vulnerable as it necessarily requires, I think, to like figure out those micro adjustments until you're sort of in some kind of dance with someone else. And that is a very different understanding that I've come to of what love is than I had. I mean, like, loving someone is
this
so much more
sounded
complex.
like she was
than
actually
the
going to get
projections
deep
that
there
we
for a
put on
second. It's like,
someone,
all
or
right, let's
even
go.
like
But
just lusting or having some small feeling for someone else.
SMS
But
messages.
I just think that we have such a black and white idea about what love is supposed to be, and I wish I'd understood more before I went into battle. I do. I really, really do. What do you think love is, Jay?
Oh wow! Oh my gosh! You're flipping this back, Emma. This is about you. It's not about
yeah.
me.
Conversation.
I know. I'm joking. I just.
Or does any of what I've said resonate?
It does. It does. It resonates a
Am I
lot.
on the right track, Jay? I need you to tell me.
I think it resonates a lot. I grew up with a very film naive Disney version of what love was.
Yeah.
Like, I loved that version of love.
Yeah.
I loved the idea that love was this really romantic, really sweet, writing letters every day kind of love. Like that's the love I dreamed of, and
Yeah.
love I thought of as a kid at least.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, you know, I think I realized that you do all of that with the first person you're with in your teens, and you kind of think it's the real thing, but then they're in a mood every night for no reason. And you're just people pleasing and trying to figure out what's going on. And you think it's all about making that person happy. And so you mold and you bend and you know, sabotage parts of yourself. And I realized very quickly that that wasn't love. And I think what's really interesting about love now is that marrying my wife, who I've been with now for 12 years and married for 9.
Wow.
And so it's the longest time I've ever spent with anyone. And also the only person I've been with after I left the monastery. And so there's been a certain chapter of my life that I've been with her for. And I really feel she's taught me more about love for 2 reasons. The first is she doesn't
how long are we
subscribe to
going
any
here
of the
for?
movie
We're
Disney
at hour
versions of
24.
love.
Let's
At
go.
all.
Oh my God. What education did she have?
Yeah, I
And where
know,
can I
I know,
get it?
I know.
Nobody
literally.
was straight.
And the other part is that I think she's the only person I've ever loved enough to be taught by,
Oh my God.
which is like a really interesting part of love that I think's missed. And I feel like love is the
Man, this
humility
is like
to
some
feel
weird phone sex things that
it's
she's
humility
doing.
on both parts, because the other person's not actively teaching and you're actively receiving.
Yes.
So it's this really strange dance between, it's almost like if you're dancing, there has to be a humility on both sides.
Yeah.
Because it's not that one person leads and the other person follows. It's the other person's kind of like, should we do this? Should we try this? And there's an anxiety and a humility in requesting that.
Yes.
And the other person gets to choose to go
Very
with
forceful.
it. Or not go and
Yes.
say, no, we're going to go in this direction. And that's a great
wow.
dance to watch. And I feel like with my wife,
She's getting there, guys.
she's never directly taught me, but she's
wow.
challenged me in ways that if other people would have, I might have left.
Oh my God, how beautiful.
And so why am I staying? And then you go, okay, I'm staying because there's love. And so love is the ability to be taught without teaching and learning without feeling like you're being led or misled. And that for me has been a really beautiful lesson. And if I just said this to my wife out loud right now, she would just laugh because she'd just find it funny. And then she also taught me how to love me for who I was and not what I had. Because I think a lot of men go through this, at least men that I'm friends with and that I've spoken to, that we want people to respect us for our success.
Yes.
And revere us for our accomplishments. It's how men have been adored since the beginning of time, for going out and getting the food, or going out there and winning the battle, or conquering a nation, and that's what you were known for. And so my wife's been with me since before my career took off and I had any success. And I think as I gained success, I think my immaturity was to want her to love me for that more. And she never did. She just didn't do it.
Wow.
And it drove me crazy. And she didn't do it in a rejecting way or in a it just didn't make a difference to her.
This isn't why I love you.
And it took me a long time to wrap my head around
God,
that.
he's still talking?
Because those are the times
To be
when
honest, I keep
you
fading
start
out with
liking
this
other
one.
people who love you for what you have achieved and what you have built and all the rest of it. And I think I just have so much respect for her.
This podcast is over 2 hours.
Yeah, she never gave in, and she helped me love myself for who I am. And I think that's the point, that I think I would have, if I had met someone else, I would have valued myself for very different reasons. And knowing you're with someone who truly is with you because of who you are and your character, and that's what they honor. And I think that word honor and respect, probably the last thing I'd say. I think we always say like love is respect and based on respect, but
I wrote a list of things that I tried to be clear with myself about what it is I was really looking for and I really want. And one is someone that I can learn from. So it's really interesting that you said learning without teaching, teaching without learning, and that kind of reciprocal. I really want to be with someone that I can learn from. And I hope that, as you say, has the humility to be willing to learn from me. But the other thing is, I think it's why I was so obsessed with the musical Hamilton, and why so many people have been. But like,
thanks, Smokey, for the 2.
So funny that we're on the Purpose podcast. But like, are you with someone who? Because obviously, what you have with someone is wonderful, right? Like what you two share together. But if you can be in service of a vision that you both share, or at the very least, are you willing to honor and give dignity to the work of the other person and whatever their vision or mission is in this world? That to me seems far more sustainable than anything else.
Well, yes.
And so I guess my big hope or wish would be that I met someone who feels like what I want to do in the world. Yes, that I'm important, but they also feel that what I'm here to do is important to them too, and in some way intersects with what they're here to do.
I couldn't agree more. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, are they
I think
bonding?
the word respect and relationship's thrown around a lot, but this is the deepest form of respect, where there's a famous quote that, I don't know who said it, but there's and I would, you could take the genders out of it now, but there's a famous quote that says, men marry women hoping they'll never change, and women marry men hoping they can change them. And to me, wanting someone to never change or wanting to be able to change someone are both signs of disrespect, because I think the greatest respect you can have is
just
to
think
respect
after this,
what
guys,
this
we
person
gotta go
values
through
in this
JK
moment
Rowling's tweets
and how that evolves. And that's their purpose, their offering, their values. And at no point are you trying to change them. And I've talked about this often, where my wife and I do this exercise with couples when I'm working with them, but I've also done it in our relationship. And I ask people to rank their top 3 priorities in order.
Wow.
And people do it privately and then they share
Blake
them.
says Emma has
And
an old
so
face for her age.
generally,
It's
one
probably the
person will put
vegan
themselves
diets and all
first,
that shit that she's
their
doing.
partner second, and then the kids third.
It probably is
And
that.
the other person will put the kids first,
or her activism.
the partner second, and themselves third. And the person who put themselves third is always mad at the person who put themselves first.
Was he a
because there's
couples
this
therapist?
friction of, well, wait a minute, how
Probably
can you not
thinks
put the
he
kids
is.
first?
Oh, is she
Well, how
vegan?
can you not put family first, or whatever it may be in your given situation?
She has.
And the other person's like, well, if I don't put
I don't know
myself
if it's
first,
on
then
or off, but
what
she's
can I
definitely
give to you?
tried being
And
like
that,
a
that
vegan
kind of
thing.
displays this dichotomy and this belief we have around
I'm pretty sure she
means
loves
complete
fish.
sacrifice, and love means self-sabotage to some degree, or love means putting yourself aside. And the reality is, actually, no, my goal is to
Like,
make
there
sure
was this interview
that
of
you
her
live your
once.
purpose and greatest vision of
Shut
yourself.
up, Jay, I'm talking.
And your purpose is to
where
help
there
me
was
do that,
like
and we both do that.
like a scrunchie, and she's like, "This is my vegan leather
And my wife
scrunchie," and
practiced
like
that,
she
and
was
does
just
it
like
naturally.
yeah.
And it's hard to do that in a
Fake
world
stuff.
that constantly reminds you both that sometimes the other person isn't where you are.
You tell us,
Or,
Bully, what would you do?
the idea of, why haven't you had kids yet? Or when are you going to be in the same country for longer than a month? Or whatever there may be, because it doesn't fit into the norm.
Emma loves the sweet
of
fish. Don't make
what
me press the
relationships look
button.
like. And I was thinking about that with you as well. Like, I know you talked about how getting asked the question, when are you getting married?
Yeah.
Or why aren't you married yet?
Yes.
And that's something every woman's hearing. What's your reaction when you hear that?
I'm just so happy not to be divorced yet. Like, that sounds like a really negative answer, but I just I think that we're being pressured and forced into this thing that, like, I believe is a kind of miracle. I might never be worthy of it. I hope it happens to me, but like, I don't feel entitled to it. Like, it will either be part of my
She looks up divorce as
purpose here.
inevitable.
and my destiny, or it won't. And I think the way we treat it is though, well, why haven't you? And this is something that has to happen in this certain time span and at a certain age in this kind of way. Is like the least romantic thing I can possibly think of. Like, truly, like, if I had tried to get married any point, basically before about a year ago, it would have been
Is she
carnage.
secretly married?
I just didn't know myself well enough yet. I didn't have a clear enough idea of what my purpose, my vision, like how I was going to be of service. I didn't know where I really felt like I needed to be. I think I have some of those answers now. So when I meet someone, I can say, hi.
I mean,
I'm
she
Emma.
can just get
This is
one
what I
of
care about.
those
This is where the people I love the most live. This is where it's
contracts
meaningful
or
for me to be
whatever,
in
you
the world.
know? Prenups,
And then
that's
they
the
can
word.
decide whether they can see that there's a way that I can serve what they're trying to do, and they can
Sticking
serve
damn
what I'm trying
Bruce
to do.
Savage.
But before that, like, they would have just got like a very mixed signal. I mean, there's some parts of me that have stayed utterly consistent, but there are some parts that like I was really still teasing out and figuring out. And I think it's such a violence and it's such a cruelty on people, and especially young people, I think, and especially women, to make them feel like they have no worth or like they haven't succeeded yet in life because they haven't forced to its culmination something that I just don't think can or should ever be forced. It's something that, like, honestly, I feel like I've had to earn, I've had to work for, to be in a place where I feel like I can look someone in the eye and be able to tell them who I am, and to have some idea, and it will change and grow of what I want and what I'm here to do. That takes work. Like,
it takes
I have,
work
like,
to get to know people.
really sat with myself in a lot of discomfort and asked myself a lot of very difficult questions to be at that point. It hasn't happened to me yet.
I do think everyone's worthy of love, but and I don't think that's
You
what
guys
you're
think
saying.
she's gonna
either.
climax again? She's done it twice.
Yeah.
I guess maybe like partnership or marriage, I guess, is what we're both saying, is like almost a different game. Like, it's almost a different playing field, actually. Like,
Yeah.
actually co-joining and like properly sharing your life with someone and being in partnership with them seems like it's its own thing.
It is. It takes so much work, and it takes so much adjustment and adapting more than compromising and sacrificing. There's so much flexibility. There's so much allowing. It's so different at different times. Like, sometimes patience looks like being by that person's side and saying nothing. And
Yes.
sometimes patience
God, we would
means being
absolutely
halfway
be
across the world
hammered.
Yes.
and not
Chat.
communicating.
If
And
we had
sometimes
done the
patience
drinking
looks
game.
like talking
Yes.
and listening. Like, it's patience doesn't look like one
I
thing
need them
over
all in
a
the chat, okay?
lifespan. And there are parts of my wife that have stayed exactly the same in 12 years, and there are parts that have completely changed. And I have a choice every time that happens to learn to love the new or not. And that's a choice I have to
Tom
make.
Holland
and
doesn't
he
even
has to
have
make as well. And
alcoholic
so
beer.
there's
That's the
so much
worst part. It's
constant
fake
choosing
beer.
and constant evolving
Yes.
that it's very
Yes.
easy to just,
Yes.
it's very easy to be
Yes.
like, I chose them the day we got married. And people always ask me that. I'm like, I don't think I even knew who my wife was the day we got married. Like, now when I think
Yeah, of
about
course,
it,
of
it's like I
course.
loved her, but
Right,
but, like, I had no idea. And that's what it
amazing.
should feel like. I don't think,
God.
if I was here to say, like, yeah, the
I wish
wedding,
the
the wedding day was
Hespears in
one of
there.
the best days of my life, but it's not the day I loved my wife the most,
Yeah,
because I didn't really even
nuts.
know what I was getting
It's a
myself
shame.
into.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
I was thinking recently about trust and telling the truth.
Mm.
And I realized the scary, crazy thing about it seems to me about intimacy is that it seems to be conditional on your ability to like keep telling the truth and perhaps even revealing deeper and deeper and deeper truths, at the risk that that truth might mean that that person might not continue to choose you.
Yes.
So even though you've been in this relationship for 12 years, like every day you have to choose to risk it all if you want there to be continued intimacy by continuing to tell your truth to this other person. And that seems so courageous to me. Like, in order for there to be genuine connection and closeness,
It
you have
seems
to be
so
willing to
courageous
risk
to
it
be
all
yourself.
sometimes, or like probably
And
almost
that-
constantly. And that
Don't
it
lie
seems
to your
like it takes
husband
so
is a
much courage
requirement.
because we don't like change. We don't want things to change. So you also want a relationship that's alive and still living and breathing, and not some like dead thing.
Yeah, so well said. And what you're saying is like that feeling of when you're not actually being truthful consistently,
Yeah.
that's when we feel people have had big changes in their life.
When
Because
when you're
if you had the
lying,
consistent
people will
truthfulness,
feel
the change felt
affected
more
by
smooth
it.
and
Is what he
gradual.
just said.
Whereas when the change came like, a wrecking ball where I have this feeling and I'm just telling you it, it's because I didn't tell you about all the little
Incremental bits of
incremental
truth,
changes.
yeah.
And sometimes you don't know
Oh,
it's
she did the
even
white
happening,
power
so
thing.
it's not your fault, or this is not something
Right.
that you can say has to be the case. But I think that's why being more truthful, more honest, more regularly and consistently allows for the change to feel more gradual. It's almost like going back to your dance analogy, like if you're about to throw someone up in the air and catch them, there has to have been a touch or a preparation before someone just grabs hold of you and throws you in the air. And it's like, well, I would have liked a warning. And that's why your analogy is so good, because it's, you would throw someone up in a dance at some point if you were both talented and gifted enough, but there would have been a preparation, there would have been a nod, there would have been a look, a feel, a touch, or you know, to set that up. And and like one of the hardest questions, you talk about asking yourself difficult questions, and I want to ask you something about that. But one thing I've said to my wife is, if you ever fall out of love with me, please tell me, because I don't want to live a day without love. I'm really confident about the fact that I'm worthy of love, and that I want to experience love in my life.
666 reading on this.
Just tell me it's okay, because I don't have the desire to stay somewhere for any other reason. And it sounds risky saying that on the screen, but to me, it's a great risk to spend 10 extra years with someone. And then they tell me, I haven't really loved you for the last 5-10 years. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I've lived without love for 10 years
I really need to get a count
and
next time.
I don't want to be in that
next
place.
Next time I do an interview where we just do like,
and not be happy. And so it
whatever
does
else,
come with a humility
generic
and
answers.
openness to have very difficult conversations and not to force something that, it's been going great for 12 years. It has to. It should do, it must do. And it's like, well, maybe no. Like, yes, if it does, it's great. And it is right now. But why should right now be a prediction for how you feel in 15 years with everything else that's going to change?
I think if I knew I really couldn't meet the needs of someone and they couldn't meet my needs, if I really couldn't make them happy and they couldn't make me happy, like forcing them to stay in that situation, surely that like makes love impossible, like negates. So I totally get.
God, what chapter is this? This is trust versus telling the truth, and we're at 1 hour and 40, and there's 2 hours and 38 minutes of this shit.
I think
then we gotta go and look at J.K. Rowling's tweet after this. Well, all of her tweets, because she's got a lot.
It's
and
because
I have a lot of
maybe
reactions.
I would have married someone not knowing who I was, and I would have needed them. Maybe
is
not
he wearing a
them.
hairnet?
And I think now I have a life that's whole and complete as it is, and I would be making a choice from a place of, I just want you, and
that's gonna be clipped. Emma Watson saying, "I want you,"
and I don't think I was that woman 5 years ago.
Yeah, I love that, and there's so much to be said for attracting.
Do you feel like this is a good use of your time? I was about to ask you guys, should we speed this thing up?
Know anything that comes into your life.
I'm not feeling satisfied. It feels like
satisfied is probably even a better
let's try this. All right, we're at 1.25. Let's try 1.5.
And so I now know whether someone makes me more satisfied or less.
I know what my baseline is. If you don't know what your baseline happy is, then how do you've got no idea of knowing what's going on at all.
And that's not a feeling of being complete or having it all figured out. It's like, I know what satisfied is a great word. It's like, I know what it feels like to be at peace with myself or satisfied with myself. And now everyone can show me where that pendulum swings.
Yes.
One thing you said which really resonated.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Why? Phoenix? What the shit? Holy shit, thank you. All right, you know what? We're gonna have to play the fish one for him, guys. We'll have to do the fish one for him because, well, first of all, it really just fits with everything that we're going on. So here we go. It's time for the fish.
If it isn't fresh, I'm out of business. Isn't that sweet, you little moneymaker, you? Use new sweet fish every day. Keep that skunky cunt away. Use new sweet fish every day. Keep that skunky cunt away. Sweet fish.
You didn't have to do that, you know. You really didn't have to do that. Thank you.
Means that you've had to ask yourself so many hard questions to do the work. And I wanted to ask you, what's one of the hardest questions you've ever had to ask yourself, if you could recall?
Well, the first one that comes to mind, and then maybe I'll dig for a deeper or different one, is like to have to admit to myself or ask myself the question of like, you right now have the career and the life that like looks like the dream. But are you really happy, Emma? Are you really healthy? Are you really happy? Like, is this really what you want? And to be at that point and like realize and have to admit to myself that I wasn't and I didn't was one of the scariest things I've ever had to do. Because
an hour and 43
I basically have to ask myself on a daily basis.
Has she said anything
I felt like
yet?
I was crazy. And walking away from something without knowing
Has
what you're walking
she actually said anything of substance? Anything that we've
not
learned?
Having answers,
besides already knowing that she's a narcissistic,
the world considered to be such
high
value,
silver
high value
girl
kind of moment in my professional life and career. I think that was a real, sitting with that was a real moment of reckoning.
Neither of them have. That's what I've been saying.
Can you live with your truth? Can you accept the fact that for most other people, your truth is pretty confusing and unpalatable? That was definitely a hard moment of sitting. More recently, because I've been being my own partner, asking myself, are you really
What the
living
fuck?
your values?
What are you doing? What are you doing? Phoenix, what are you doing? Why? You know you don't have to do that. Holy shit. I just saw that text. All right, hang on. Which one should we play for him? All right, okay, we gave him the sweet fish. Hang on, we'll play Arthur for him. Hang on, we're gonna do Arthur. Hang on. Let me get rid of that for a second. Here we go.
He's a knitter! Knitter!
Thank you, Phoenix. He wants to end the suffering. He's like, make this go away.
Things that you preach, are you actually aligned? And actually looking at some spaces in my life where I was like, shit, no, not at all. I'm actually not doing what I talk about. And I need to like create some sort of urgency or a deadline for that so that I make sure that I'm a person of integrity. I purport to be someone that cares about the world and about the planet and sustainability. And, you know, there are some things I was doing. Was it enough? By my own standards, not by anyone else's, just by my own? Probably not. But what's nice is I actually have the time now to be like, okay, what are you going to do about it? Like, get on with it. And like,
But those are great. Thank you for those. Those are great.
He looks like he's
Really
having a
great
stroke
questions,
because he's on
So hard for so many reasons,
0.5x.
especially when you talked about like when you're stepping away from and stepping toward.
Yeah.
Did you have people in the industry or like people that you could talk to that felt the same way? Like, did you have co-stars or friends or?
No.
Wow.
I don't know anyone else. I'll never say that I quit acting. I'll always be an actor. I'm still open to doing it again.
Wait. Like an hour ago, she literally just said, "Oh, I can't like identify and call myself an artist." Right? She was saying how she worked so hard to be able to call herself an artist, even though she did all these blockbuster movies. She didn't think of herself as an artist. But now, 1 hour and 45, she's all like, "Yo, I'm an actress. I'll always be an actress," even though she hasn't made a movie since 2019, and the only thing she's done since then is a Prada commercial where she's starred and directed in it. I think there's something wrong here.
A decision to take time to figure out, to not know, and to, you know, I had like this whole disassembling the structure that's needed to carry the load of Emma Watson. It's like there's an agent,
Oh,
and a
here's their
publicist, and a
avatar
manager,
again.
and a personal
Wasn't that
assistant,
ad
and there's all these
awful?
people and lives.
It
who
wasn't very
intertwined with
good,
mine.
but I
And
liked the music.
Navigating and caring for and negotiating that with people as well was really tricky. And
It
I was
wasn't
just
a
bloody
good
terrified.
ad.
Like,
The music
I
was
think
good.
there's a kind of infantilization that can happen when you work as much as I did, and a kind of loss of
Something
independence
isn't
that
adding up.
means
I
that you're like,
agree.
oh my God, can I even do my life if I don't have this like army of people who are like helping me do the most menial and basic of things? Like, can I actually like do this stuff myself? And I don't even say that in terms of like capability, but like just from the place of like, it's difficult for me to walk down the street sometimes. So if I'm going to start to take on truly the responsibility of most of my life myself, like, what's that going to be like? Like, can I really do that stuff? I think fame makes you feel like you can't do things for yourself in a way that can really disempower you and remove your confidence and autonomy as a human being. That's really disabling.
And for everyone who's wondering, yeah, Emma called me up and I was like, so should I speak to your publicist? She's like, no, I am my publicist. Like, I was like, do I need to check with the manager? No, I am my manager. And like, that was literally the conversation we had. So she booked this podcast herself.
Anyone?
There was no booker, there was no booking
She
system, there
is
was
the
no
manager.
reach out.
But she
It
has
was literally Emma
someone.
doing it herself, which is proof
Did
you
she
are living
fire
your
them?
values.
She used to have
and you are
somebody.
aligned with what you're saying. I wanted people to know that.
Thank you, I appreciate that. What's so funny though now is like, because I do everything myself, there's like a 50% chance you would have not thought it was me. Or like sometimes when I reach out to
trust me,
people,
I had plenty of moments. I had to double take. I was like,
Is it
wait a minute, like
verified tick?
verified tick, amount of followers who she followed.
people think
It
it's
was a-
not me.
yeah.
And so like I have a 50-50 rate of people actually just like not responding to me because they don't think I'd be reaching out myself.
Yeah, that's real. I had to do a second.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
funny.
I even checked it this morning. Like, wait a minute.
Is it definitely her?
Definitely her. I'm gonna turn up and some, like,
This is
you know,
on
catfish
1.5x
situation.
speed,
wild.
mind you.
Yeah.
Fair chat.
Oddly,
Just
sometimes
so
it
you
takes
guys
more
see.
work me trying
Playback
to do
speed
things myself
1.5.
than through the system.
Yeah. But no, you did a great job. But
Thanks.
those
I'm
those
so
hard
good.
questions
I
that
book my own stuff.
you ask yourself,
Bitch, I
really,
book for people
what
all the
was it
time. You don't hear me
that
going,
gave
oh,
you
I'm so
courage
great. I did it
to walk a
myself.
path where you don't know the next 3 steps, when you have an entire career lined up on the other side. You have an amazing career. Every movie you've been in has been magical and amazing. Like it's when you look at your portfolio of choices, like they're all brilliant performances. They're great films.
It's
They're
even better on
and you
1.5,
only
isn't
would have
it?
more of that. So it's also not like you're leaving a career that's kind of had its. Like, do you know what I mean? It's at a place where no business-oriented person could imagine why. And so, what gives you courage when one side is so clear?
I need the
And one
in
side
the
is
chat.
not
I need to
clear
make
at
an
Again, I'm
emote.
going to tell the honest
You make
version
an
of the story.
emote.
I'd love to tell
Machine gun.
you that it was like this incredible courage and determination I have inside of me. And yes, there's part of that. I'm not going to like completely erase my role in all of this, but I think a big part was that it was coming to a point with my health and nervous system where I was starting to hit a point of not no return, but like, it's interesting. I eat well, I do yoga, I do meditation, I do all the things, right? But I think I was using those as a way of mitigating how much stress I was under, as opposed to actually what those things are really for are compasses and points towards our truth.
Can somebody take a supercut of the stream?
I was using them
and just cut it to
as a way of like bolstering myself and allowing myself to continue down a path that actually was kind of wrecking me. And I think it was just like my immune system couldn't pretend
What stress?
anymore.
You
I was
don't do
on
anything, right?
7 or
Like
8
she literally
packets of
signed herself up
antibiotic
back
every year
to
because
school
my immune system was so low
because she
that I
was
was just constantly
bored
getting I
and
was just
wanted to
constantly
learn
getting sick and a
more.
sinus infection and whatever else. Like
No
You
idea.
didn't
my
have to
body
do
just
that.
started
You're bored.
being like, no. I went from being someone who I would say I still handled
the
stress and
fuck?
pressure well, and in the moment I could always do it, but the cost afterwards was starting to get more and more
What is going on
serious
in
to
the
the
rumble
point where it
chat
was
right
like,
now?
I'd always turn down. Actually, I remember I was in my early 20s when a publicist first offered me a beta blocker. I was nervous before
Phoenix just
carpet,
gifted 5
and
subs
it's the only
over
other
on
time I
Rumble.
took anything, and I was fine for the 2 hours after
Thank
I took
you,
it,
Phoenix.
and then I got back to the room, and
We'll
when
have
my
to do
feelings
that,
came
you
back to
know.
me, I was like overwrought
Ooh,
with grief and feeling of having blocked it. And so I'd always, and after that, I never allowed anyone to give me anything again, even though I was offered things multiple times. And doctors wanted to give me things for jet lag and for sleep and for nerves. And, oh, everyone takes it. This is, there's no shame in this or whatever. But I felt like in order to keep going, I was going to have to make a decision of like, are you okay with being low level, unwell and medicated, essentially? And I just knew
Unwell.
that wasn't a choice for me. So in a way, I have my body to thank, because my body I didn't want to ignore my body anymore. And it didn't matter how many silent retreats I went on or how much yoga I did or what new thing I did to try and take care of myself. My body was done. And that was then, I think, when I went away and found a relationship with myself and my practice and just having trust and faith in a way that I never had before. And I started listening more carefully to like these little whispers of like maybe this should be the thing you do, or like even coming and doing this of like,
God, hurry up and
you
get to
should
the
go and do
trans
this podcast,
stuff.
just
That's what
listening
we
to
all
myself
care
through, basically,
about.
and
Where is
listening to
that?
the universe, whatever that means. But I never had that before. I never knew how to listen for those things before. I truly went away and had nothing for a while.
I'm
So
guessing it's
that was
about
probably
2 hours and
the best result
14.
of all of that.
Yeah, and I think it still takes so much courage, because it does, even though you didn't see it that way and you may not have noticed it, it still takes so much courage to listen to your body, because it is easy to keep medicating in all the ways to break it anyway,
Yeah.
and to push it. So addicted or intoxicated by the success or whatever it may be.
I guess the courageous part was
better.
just knowing I didn't want to numb out. That was the point at which it
My
got too
mic
big of
just
a
had a
cost.
fun time.
So I was like, okay, if I feel like I need to be, I'm at the point where the price is too high now.
Yeah, I loved what you said about when they're meant to be compass to our truth and not like this Band-Aid
I'm
pacification.
not muted anymore.
And
I've been really effectively using those Band-Aids. They will carry you far. Like I had a lot of practice.
I think that's how they're presented now too.
Yeah.
It's
They
my
come
mic
this,
this
and
first.
that's
Sometimes
why
that
when you said I
happens.
think it's
It's
almost
like
like I'm
some
trying to
weird
think of a
staticky
good metaphor,
thing
but the one that's
going.
coming to my mind, it's almost like driving to the grocery store in a sports car, and it's like a sports
It's
car's
like
made
the
for this
power stuff doesn't
high-speed
like
track,
completely
like that's what it's
disconnect
for.
my mic and
But you're
makes
using
it
it
weird.
just to drive 25 miles an
It's
hour
great.
Yeah.
to the grocery store. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, no, it has so much more
You want it on
capability and
2x,
ability
dude. We'll
to
never
take you
follow
somewhere
it on
phenomenally,
2x.
but you're using it for a really simple, basic task.
Not gonna lie though, I remember when I
I'm
did my
like
first
Cyberman
Vipassana,
arriving. Nah,
and
man.
sat long enough. And I went
Someone
to
needs
my
to go
teacher and I was
rescue
like,
Rose.
what have I done?
Go on, tell me about this. Go on.
What have I done?
What do you mean? In what way?
Because in a way it was
Thank
almost
you,
like I
Phoenix.
realized once you start paying attention to your truth, it's very difficult to go back. And in some way, it felt like I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I like this. I don't know if I like this.
So good.
I maybe I want to go back. And once you step
Do
through
we need
it,
to go back to
you kinda can't go
1.5
back. And I
chat? You
remember him
guys
looking at
having
me calmly and
difficulty
saying,
keeping up.
could you even go back now? Even if
I mean,
you
we
wanted
should
to?
say
And I was like, I guess
1.25.
not.
There we go,
I guess
1.25.
this is the path I've chosen to walk. And to some degree, in the same way that getting cast as Hermione and like making my peace with the way that changed my life were my marching orders,
I want to hear what she
think
has to say about what's her
trusting
face's name.
is that's all I can do at this point. I'm just holding on
The
for dear
little
life.
one.
Yeah, it's like the mafia. Like,
Why
once
am I
you're in, you know
blanking
too
on
much.
the new
Yeah,
Hermione's
true.
name?
Like,
I'll never forget that moment. I'll
Yeah,
never forget
you
that
can't.
moment.
Why am I
Yeah,
totally
it's-
Oh
blanking?
no, this is undoable now, isn't it? And he was like, kind of, yeah. I was like, oh no, it's so uncomfortable.
Why am I
It's so
blanking on this
uncomfortable being
girl's
honest with
name?
myself. And then I have to be honest with other people
What's
as
her
well.
name?
This is a nightmare. Why did I do this? Why am I here? Oh God.
what's
Damn, I have no
I'm
idea.
just imagining you on the Vipassana retreat, like coming out of it and just having that reaction.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Yeah.
So good. That needs to get added to the play.
Okay.
That moment needs to be added to the play.
I actually, I wrote something. I wrote something about my doing the 10-day Vipassana for the first
Hang
for
on,
the
I'm
first time.
going
'cause
through my
God, that
following
is
list.
it's such a roller
The
coaster.
tax.
Yeah, it's such
Thank
a roller
you.
coaster.
Anything you want to share about it?
I mean, sure, yeah. I don't want to bore you to death.
No, you're
but,
not.
I mean, I think what was funny
Why
was
Why
like
can't I find
have
her
this picture
name?
that I drew
Arabella,
of day,
thank you. Jesus Christ,
two.
that's her name.
and it's like green and pink, and there's butterflies on it, and it literally says, I think it says, this is so embarrassing. It says, "I am beautiful." It's so embarrassing.
That's so embarrassing.
I just felt like, I was like, oh my God, this is bliss. I was like riding this wave of like meditation ecstasy, basically. Whatever dopamine hit I was getting from that was wild. I just felt unbelievable. And then I surfed that wave straight into some kind of like brick wall of, oh my God, like all the things in life that you think are outside of you actually live inside you. And so even when you're like in this beautiful place
I
on this
just
gorgeous
wish
meditation
that
retreat with all of these
after
like wonderful
An
enlightened
hour
people,
and 57,
everything
she'd
starts
say
to drive you
something of
crazy.
substance.
And even the like salt shaker and the pepper pot in front of you start to take on the shapes of your real life, and you realize that your mind just starts creating all this drama for you, even though there's nothing going on, literally. And it was such a wild experience to kind of sit there and be like, oh my God, I'm the one creating all of my own drama.
Yes.
This is a nightmare.
You
It's
need
me.
therapy.
It's me. I'm the problem. And I was like, I can't stay here. I can't do this. This is way too hard. Living with myself and my own thoughts is going to drive. This is unbearable. I can't do this. That was a really big learning. And what I have to remember all the time is like, I, as a perfectionist, which again is a kind of violence on yourself, I would try to like shame and blame myself into and like kind of shake myself up and give
She's not
myself
busy
these
enough,
kinds
that's
of
her
like
issue.
talkings to make myself do stuff. And sometimes, to be honest with you, they work in the short term, and in the long term, they fail
Spends
you
too much
miserably.
time. Yeah, she
Like, they just
seriously
do not
is
work.
very self-centered.
The
Like, my
only way
goodness.
that I have learned to change my patterns, to show up for myself
She needs a
better,
new
to
hobby.
change in the ways I want to change and grow, is to be loving towards myself.
Oh, here we go.
So
Speaking of
getting
being
to be in the
self-centered, I
room
need to
with
live
that
myself even
person
more than
at
I
that
already do.
moment was a massive gift.
It's amazing. I love it how
I love it,
someone that you
Sean.
can attend
It's so
a class with
fab.
can become such a big teacher for you when you allow it to be. And
Yeah.
someone who wasn't the leader or the guide of the group can have such an
I really
impact on
want
you.
banana
Did you want
cereal.
to, speaking about love, did you want to
Yeah.
share is it the practice that you went through recently? Is that what you?
Oh,
yeah.
the
Oh,
ring.
she
Yeah,
did.
the ring.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's
What?
sweet of you to remember I mentioned that.
Yeah.
I guess having gone through this odyssey, which has been the last, 7 years, I was like, okay, I kind of feel like I've got to a place, and this will continue forever, where I want to celebrate where I ended up after I kind of left land, it felt like. And I did a ritual with, or like, I guess just a day of celebrating with my friends and chosen family, and they each bought me this ring which has 22 petals on it, and each of them bought one. And I've just never owned anything so valuable in my life, because
I don't understand. What does it
to
look
me
like?
it represents the life that I've built, which was the one that I really wanted, which was one that was made up of community and my roots and faith and trust. And in some funny way, it signals to me that even though I have no outward signs of my success, save for
Yeah,
this
she celebrates a family and
wonderful
friends
play I've
ritual.
written. I don't even have my degree yet.
She's
It signals
Meghan
to
Markle
me
levels
that
of
for
knowledge.
me,
No, she's past
achieved
Meghan
what I
Markle
wanted
at this
to achieve
point.
for myself.
Oh, she's gonna cry again. Bully! Someone get Bully
So that's
McGuire.
cool.
Get
I
him!
love that every time I look down on my finger, I can like see all of the faces
Oh
of the people who
God,
bought
just
it
gonna
for me.
cry.
You're amazing at holding space. You're so kind. The amount of people who've
Oh,
really
she
sat in
said
this
the
chair and
holding
been
space.
as emotional as I have, and you don't turn away. It's
Vanilla
amazing.
banana.
It's easy with you.
That's very kind.
It's really easy because it's really heartfelt, and you've shared so much of me before today and today that I felt like you shared
You two
You
are
created that space for me
narcissistic
to share with you.
asshats.
before today and today.
I'm gonna fall in this own chair.
What makes a real friend? So you said you had 22?
22, yeah.
22
She's got
friends.
22
What
friends.
defines
What is
a
this, like
good friend
Facebook
for you?
friends?
Oh my God. For me, I've never killed anyone in my life, and I have no intention of killing anyone.
All right.
But, like, it's the person who you can call when you're
Noted.
like, that would help you carry the dead body across the floor. You know what I mean? You're like, the person you call, you're like, shit, I think I've done this thing. And I need you to like either tell me I'm crazy, or tell me I'm not crazy, or tell me the truth, or help me
Someone
fix it.
find
or-
Bully McGuire.
I
He
don't know.
left.
I
We need
think
him
it's
back.
like the people that, God, it's the people that you just like do not have to have airs and graces with, and who you can just be like, this just happened and it's such a disaster. And yeah, and I don't know, people, I think also who can handle your
I'm shopping
truths, your real
anyone
truths and
in who
vulnerabilities
makes that call to me.
like they're sacred and with care. I think that's been very important for me, because I think maybe part of my bravado is I'll make a joke of, or I'll be brave about things I don't feel very brave about. And it takes someone who
Well,
knows
she
me quite
also
well
went back and got
to
a.
go,
She's
"She's
kind of a
making a joke about
master's at
this."
Oxford.
It's like,
Double.
I'm
Whims.
actually dying inside, and I kind of know that, and like I'm gonna hold her through it. Yeah, I think
She
real
fucking said
friends
holding
are
space, and she
the
almost
ones when you're in a
cried
really
all in one
tight
sentence.
corner. And not just that will like show up begrudgingly, but be
never
like,
meet your
what are we dealing with today?
heroes.
And like maybe we'll enjoy that or see that as like an honor and a privilege. Actually, I think that's been a big learning for me, and it's an honor and a gift when someone asks you for help or when they need you. And I think I used to feel really embarrassed about needing anything from anyone or asking for help. I used to see it as like a great shame, like something I was really embarrassed to do. And now I see it as like, I guess like knowing how I feel when someone asks me for help that I really love, and how amazing it feels to be able to be there for someone else. I try to remind myself that when I'm feeling like I couldn't possibly burden someone else with something, I remind myself.
Studying and
remember
brave,
how
for real.
good it felt that someone like asked you to show up for them, and that you got to be
And
there
Emma
for them.
Stone is worse
at their
than her. Someone
worst or
canceled my
darkest.
throne gift to Lethal.
And so
Emma
I think
Stone is a
coming to
lot
understand,
better than Emma Watson.
like, I
Lethal's
think I
just a
also
wanker.
confused codependency, or like, I don't know. I didn't. We are so interdependent as a species, and like there's no shame in
Ugh.
needing and wanting other people. I didn't understand.
No
I
one
don't
said there
understand.
was shame in
And
needing and wanting
do.
other people.
I love that answer. I
Hello?
love how it started as, if I ever kill someone.
Which I would. I
What,
swear,
Emma Thompson?
and I
She got cheated on from
Okay,
Kenneth
it's so
Branagh.
good,
She's
it's
the
so
OG.
good. It's like I did not expect you to say that. It was so good.
that's
It's
good.
so surprising. I love it. But no, it's so. It's
And
so
she
true.
never
Like,
shows us
when I
this
left the
ring
monastery, and
ever
even though I was with
again.
my wife and we got into a relationship and we were dating, I used to always feel like I had this false mindset
How much
because
time
of
left?
my immaturity and understanding what being a
Like
monk was.
35
In that it
minutes.
was in this independent way
Right.
of not needing or wanting anyone, and that
And we are
were
on
in a relationship and it was
1.25x
great, but like
speed.
that
Now we're
wasn't,
gonna look at all
and
the
I held that
tweets.
immaturity, and I probably verbalized it to her too many times for too
Probably
long.
pulled
At
those
the
up
beginning
on
of our
the
relationship, I have no
screen.
idea why she stayed. But it took recently. This was so recent. This was like
Christ.
maybe a couple of months ago. Well, I realized that I shouldn't have said that years ago. But then a couple of months ago, my wife said to me, she goes, "You're my calm, like you calm my nervous system." And I was like, "You're my joy, like you bring joy to every part of my life." And it was like that.
Oh, she's gonna
exchange
cry again.
was
He's like,
so
"You're gonna
needed and
cry."
so powerful. After having for so long feeling like, oh, I have everything I need anyway. And I do. I
Yeah.
genuinely believe that. But it's what you said, is that we're interdependent for a reason.
Yes, we
And it's like,
co-regulate.
yeah, my wife had so much. It's like saying I don't need salt added on to this meal. And like the meal's
Yeah.
great. And it's like, I don't need any more salt. And it's like, well, no, if you add a little bit of salt, it'll make it a bit better.
Way better.
It'll be way better. And it's like, and we kind of live in that life of like, oh, I don't want to add anything to this. And it's almost a defense mechanism because we're so scared that there may not be
Yeah.
someone to add.
Oh my God. I think
And I've lived there. So that resonated very
I
strongly.
think that was one of the other gifts, actually, of getting to a point where, because I used to be this like, I'm so tough and independent and I can do anything person. And being at the point where I was like, oh, shit, I actually think I'm like not okay. And my body forcing me to ask other people for help was the biggest gift of my life, because it brought me so much closer to other people. And I learned that not only is it not a burden, it's genuinely, a privilege and a gift sometimes to have someone ask you that question, or like be honest about the ways that they need you. And it's crazy how long it takes for these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You've done so much inner work and self-work. And I'm wondering, what's the work you've been avoiding? What's the work you've been putting off? if there
Wow.
is any?
I think it's
Let's hear.
probably something around now tying it all together.
Mm.
I think in some ways me
Is this the
being
JK
here
Rowling
today
stuff?
is me trying to do the piece I've been avoiding, maybe, which is like, okay, you know you want to show up as a full integrated whole self,
What?
and
Full integrated
not
whole self? Who
compartmentalize
says
and
that?
split and fragment yourself in a way.
Then again, this is also the
keeps you
woman says she
safe,
has an avatar of
and
herself.
that compartmentalization did keep me safe and felt very necessary for a long time, because I was trying to keep some walls up where I could nurture myself and learn and grow and then be ready to share those
Bye, Mr.
pieces.
Tex. Thanks for being here.
But I think it's probably figuring out how to avoid the pieces that I know aren't good for me and that are genuinely just toxic, but to have the courage to show up now in whatever form that is and trust again, whether that's a person or it's making something or it's kind of...
Is her ringtone
okay,
like "Baby,
have
don't
you
hurt me"? Like,
learned
what
enough
is
that
love?
you can integrate and share now that you've done this inner work on your own.
Yeah, and that resonates.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's hard.
One of the soy boys cheated on her.
It's almost like it is
That
that
would
you've
be
been
shit.
private for so long.
Yeah.
I would never
And you've
applaud
been
anyone for
working
doing
in
that.
private on
Yes.
your
maybe.
fascinations, your curiosities, your friends, your inner work, and then to actually come out and talk about
Yes.
what that period has been like publicly
Yeah.
is something you can keep pushing off and
maybe how that ties into partnership is that I've realized actually that some of the people I've been attracting on the dating front think they're dating some previous version of me who still exists in some ways, but
She's gonna
who
quote
isn't
Matt
actually
Smith in Doctor
who I am
Who.
now.
We all
And I
change.
realized, I was like, oh,
everybody
I'm
changes.
still getting sent people who like
You know, all
are
of
seeing
ourselves, but the clock's
someone who was
ticking 12.
part of the picture, but not
The hour's
whole
over.
picture.
That thing, you
And
know? Remember
it's
that
starting to feel
episode?
uncomfortable to not feel like I'm telling this part of the story, if that makes sense.
it's even harder for you to be like, well, these are the parts that are still there, and these are like it's
no,
not,
I know.
it's not
Yeah.
a didactic process of like
No.
it's not an equation where you
No.
can go, well, these are the parts that
Well,
I've
very
kept,
Australian
these
for
are
a
the parts
second
that are
there.
not. Like it doesn't work like
No.
that.
No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. But I'm still getting requests that want to drag me a little bit more into a version of myself who was great and she was doing great stuff. But I
Oh,
think
so
there's a
great.
part of me now that really feels like being able to speak to you one-on-one in this kind of setting as opposed to what I used to do, which would be an enormous audience and there'd be like 300 people there. And like, of course there's intimacy you can find in a room like that. But like, the truth is, it's really difficult to find the kind of depth and the kind of connections that I know are the ones that nourish me personally. And it's different for everyone, but that just aren't allowing me to have the thing that I know is the real thing that I'm actually seeking.
What has she been
And what I used
saying
to go
this
into lots of
entire
other environments
time?
seeking and thinking I'd be able to get
Seriously.
and keep and just not being able to find.
I mean, something I wanted to ask you about that's
Oh, here we go.
difficult and challenging because it's something you spoke about earlier as to being such a big part of your life, an important part of your life. But recently,
Oh, here we go.
there's been so many conversations and comments directly from J.K. Rowling.
Here we
whether it's
go.
her saying
We're gonna
she'd
put this on
never
one.
forgive you
normal.
for your views, or the fact that when she was asked what
Get the
ruins
popcorn, boys. We're
movies for
going.
her, she named yourself and some of your
What's
co-stars.
happening?
And I imagine
Stay
that's
calm.
an extremely difficult thing when you've been a part of someone's world, when you've felt connected to their work, and then for it now to kind of be a full 180, and for someone to publicly say these things that can be quite extremely hurtful, actually. How do you think about that?
I really don't believe that by having had that experience and holding the love and support and views that I have mean that I can't and don't treasure Joe and the person that I had personal experiences with. I will never believe that one negates the other, and that my experience of
this
that
is
person
why
I
J.K. Rowling
don't
shredded her.
get to keep and cherish.
Rightfully so.
To come back to our earlier thing, like I just don't think these things are either or. I think
GG's.
it's
Everyone,
my deepest
do the
wish
Hunger Games for
that
Emma Watson.
I hope people who don't agree with my opinion will love me, and I hope I can keep loving
No,
people
Joe
who
is
I
Joanne,
don't necessarily
guys.
share the same opinion with. And I think that's a very, very important way for me that I need to be able to move through life. I just
Oh boy.
really, I guess to circle back around, I really do
No, her name is Joanne.
believe in having conversations, and that those are really important.
Joe is
and
J and JK. Yeah. Some of you guys
I don't know.
need to learn.
I guess where I've landed is it's not so much what we say or what we believe, but very often how we say it. That's really important, and that's really frustrating and not what you want to hear when you're really angry and upset with someone. But I don't know. I just see this world right now where
She
we
doesn't
seem
know
to
what
be
to say. She wants to make sure she doesn't offend
giving
anybody.
permission for this kind of like throwing out of people, or that people are disposable. And I just think I will always think that's wrong. I just
God, that's not even what
believe that
anyone's ever been saying. No one's
no
saying
one is-
throw people out.
no one's disposable.
Mm.
And
That's so deep. He's like,
everyone,
what's the
as
powerful?
far
Don't
as
be
possible,
disposable.
whatever the conversation is,
Yeah, she's
should and
absolutely
can be
formulated a
treated
politically
with,
correct response.
at the very least, dignity and respect.
Thank you for challenging us and pushing us. Yeah, it takes a lot to.
Oh,
I think that's what we're all being challenged to do, is
Emma,
trying
what
to
have
hold
you
two truths at
done?
once. And
Yes.
those two truths don't have to be complementary, but they
No.
can stand at the
Can
same
honour
time. Yeah.
I think the thing I'm most upset about is that a conversation was never made possible.
By
you
you,
remain
you
open
bitch.
For that dialogue.
Ah,
Yeah, and I always will.
oh
believe in
my
that.
God.
I believe in that completely.
Wait until you guys, if
Um,
you've not seen J.K. Rowling's message,
I believe in that.
you will be calling her a
completely.
bitch.
I
Emma,
just
that is,
don't-
because she's
Yeah, I
such
just
a
don't
shithead.
want to say anything that like continues to weaponize a really like toxic
She
debate and
never reached
conversation.
out to Joe
which is
once. She wrote a letter,
maybe
a
why
note, and gave
I
it to
don't-
somebody else who gave it to J.K.
Well,
Rowling.
It is why I don't.
And it was literally just saying,
comment or,
I'm
like,
sorry you're
continue to
going through
comment,
this.
Not because I don't care
Emma has Joe's phone
about
number
her
and
or
she
about
never
the issue,
calls her.
but because I just
What a
the
twat.
way that the conversation is being had
Yeah.
feels really painful to me, and so that's why that decision.
Yeah. I really
God.
appreciate that mindset. And
Yeah, exactly.
deeply,
Trash
deeply
talk.
feel
Now that
like
it's I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show
people
you
are
guys
challenged to
everything
go
after
there
this interview because
themselves.
I
It
have
takes
it
a
all
lot
pulled
to
up on
think
my other
how
monitor
you
ready to
feel
go.
that way.
We're gonna
Yeah.
look at
It's-
everything,
it's what-
including all
it's
the
what
tweets because
healing
I saw
really
them all when I was in
requires
Florida.
across, you know,
So I
around
wanted
the
to
world.
wait to
And I
react
can't
to it all.
imagine how many young people who look up to you and people who look up to you will feel the same way to recognize that that's how we engage. That's
Yeah.
what we look for.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not that we're trying to make everything pretty and perfect.
No.
It's that
No.
we're willing to engage in an uncomfortable
Yes.
conversation.
Yes.
She doesn't know what she
Her
wants.
Kindness and words of encouragement and that steadfastness that, and also honestly, just as a young woman,
You right, Disper?
for her to have written that character, created that world, given me an opportunity, which to be honest, barely exists in the history of English literature. You know, how can I, there's just no world in which I could ever cancel her out.
You
or cancel
did.
that out.
You did. Literally
For
5 years
anything.
ago.
It has to remain true. It is true. And this is where this like holding of these, I just don't know what else to do other than hold these two seemingly incompatible things together at the same time and just hope maybe they will one day resolve or like co-join themselves, and maybe accept that they never will, but that they can both still be true.
No, they can't
And
be. We don't live in
I
fantasy
can
world,
love
you
her.
ding dong.
I can know she loved me. I can be grateful to her. I can know the things that she said are true. And that can be this whole other thing. And
What, that trans women are women? Are we stupid?
my job feels like to just hold.
What?
Just to
The
hold all of
space?
it. But
What?
the bigger thing is
Huh?
just
You're
what
retarded?
she's done
okay.
will never be taken away from me.
Thanks for saying such a powerful example.
What problem? She didn't say anything. Oh, for fuck's sake.
That beautiful F. Scott Fitzgerald quote that the sign of a first-rate intelligence is the ability
Oh,
to
yes.
hold two opposing
First-rate
ideas at the
intelligence,
same
absolutely.
time and still retain the ability to function. And he goes on
Jiminy
to say, one should
Christmas.
therefore be able to see that the world is hopeless, but still be determined
Do
to
you think
make
she's
it
going to cry
otherwise.
again? Somebody get
And
bullied.
it's
Bring him
like,
back.
that's
F.
it.
Scott Fitzgerald said that.
Scott
Wow,
Fitzgerald.
he ran deeper than I knew.
Yeah, it's F. Scott.
Wow,
Shout out F.
that's
Scott
One of the quotes, that
incredible.
second part.
I read
Yeah.
one
That's
of his books
incredible.
once.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Wow, well done you for remembering that second part. Wow, you've made me like Fitzgerald a lot. I mean, I liked him, don't get me wrong. Like,
yeah. To me,
Oh my
it's
God, I'm part of them
it's
now.
one
I
of
know
my
what they're talking
favorites.
about.
so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
That's so good.
Yeah. Emma, for someone who has tried to stay out of the public eye,
Yeah.
She
you
sure
still
likes coming
being
back into it
vocal
when doing a
about
2-hour
causes
interview.
you believe in, things that you stand for.
Yes.
And
grief.
that always seems
I
to
wish I
get
had this. I wish there
attention
was
and
something in here.
reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Besides
And
water.
so when you shared online your solidarity for Palestine, the
Bitch.
former Israeli UN
Ugh.
ambassador, Danny Danon, called you an anti-Semite, and
Yep.
his tweet said 10 points from Gryffindor for
Yep.
being an anti-Semite.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
What goes through your mind when
I am a wanker.
you
That's what
see
you
that?
should be thinking. Yes.
This happened a few years ago now.
Yeah.
I think what concerned me at the time was the way that label was being used.
What, 10 points from Gryffindor?
And I think even now, I see that playing out where people don't feel like they can talk about what's happening safely. This
Of course not. Your side likes to kill
duality
people.
created where we don't seem able to care about the victims of terrorism and care about the genocide that's happening
What?
in Palestine at
Can
the
you
same
show us the
time.
receipts?
And both things have to be allowed to be true.
Don't make me
You
ban
have to be allowed
Rubberneck.
to care about 50,000 civilians dying, 17,000 of which are children, and care deeply about the victims of this awful terrorist attack.
So I appreciate you sharing that. And
That's all he ever says. Oh, I appreciate you
it
saying
seems
that.
like that
Oh,
belief
hold in
system you have
space.
in yes and this and together, it kind of runs through so many areas of your life,
It
personal and beyond.
yes.
God, what a bunch of
think
wankers.
I think that's true. I think that's true.
I hope that you've been able to share the parts of yourself and the version of yourself
I
that
need to
you
throw up.
wanted to and intended to.
I hope so. I feel very hot, and I feel very hot, and I feel a little bit like, is this room even real? Like,
Is
are
this
we?
the real life?
Is this like a
just
Godard
fantasy?
play?
Get out of
like,
Freddie
in some
Mercury's
sort of
head, bro.
existential room that doesn't exist
In a second, all the
anymore.
walls are going to drop. and there's
Honestly,
gonna
I
be
feel a
people
little bit
everywhere.
like that. But as long as this was real and these 4 walls are actually here, then
Word
yes,
up,
I do
this
feel
brew,
that
you're
way.
right.
And
Honestly, she just dropped like a good chunk after all
I've done
what she
everything
just
I
said.
can in a context that's still, I can still
Damn.
see cameras and lights, and I know there's a person behind me, but I feel to the extent to which I can humanly do that, I've shown up for myself, and
Oh, I did it for me because everything else I've been doing
you
is
in
just
a
for me
way,
too.
and the invitation that this podcast is and the work that you do in the world, I've answered that invitation. So I feel good about that.
Ah, it's
And
all
I know
about
it's a bit hot, but I've got a
me.
couple of questions I wanted to end on. And we end on with every episode.
Yes.
These are your final 5.
Okay.
They have to be answered in 1 word to 1 sentence maximum, but
Okay.
I will probably ignore that rule, as I always do.
Amazing.
So
I'm gonna play
question
footsie
number
real
1
soon.
Okay.
is we ask these to everyone who's ever been on the show. What is the best advice you've ever heard or received?
I'm going to cheat slightly, if you'll allow it.
Yeah.
I read Emergent Strategy by Adrienne Marie Brown. It was given to me as a gift by my friend Anne-Marie for my 30th birthday. And I think that being a good, pious, Protestant English girl, I really believed that if I worked hard enough and if I was kind of saintly enough, that someone would see my good deeds
Said
and
one
my hard
sentence.
work and like give me the sticker, give me the star. And so a kind of martyrdom was part of my sort of, I understood was important in my, and I think reading her book and reading
5 moments later
about pleasure activism, which is sort of the idea that like anything that you need that you want to sustain, e.g. justice, e.g. you need it to be easy, and you need
say
it
what the
to be
advice is. She's
pleasurable
not
in a way,
saying
because that's
anything.
what's
Just
gonna
like this
mean we'll be
entire
able to
interview,
do
she's
it
not said
for a
fuck
long
off.
time.
Oh,
Part of my burnout was that I wasn't prioritizing
I regret doing
pleasure
this, chat.
and
I did this for
joy
you.
as kind of
Hope you're
like
happy.
underpinning for even some of the the harder,
Pleasure
more
activism.
somber, cerebral things that I was doing. And I think
That's such a great answer.
that changed my life. And I think we also have a model, particularly within activism and in lots of spaces, that like
Oh, here we go with
this
the
kind
fucking
of
space.
sole
Everything is this
individual,
space.
charismatic leader. And I, like you, you know,
I'm pretty sure
my
cerebral
heroes were
activities
always
to
Martin
her is
Luther
remembering
King
to
and
breathe.
Gandhi, and
Oh,
he
now
was
we're
just
talking
sort
about
of
Gandhi.
solitary person that was doing that. And I think if I could go back and do anything differently, it would be that when I embarked on some of the public activism that I did, I wouldn't go in the way I did. I would go
No,
in
because you went in
with
one side and you
what I
didn't
have
even
now,
research. You
which
did
is
absolutely nothing.
not just like an activist community. Like I have friends who can give me feedback and who I can talk to, and who
yes, the
I
biased
feel
ones.
that
Thank
I'm
you.
not doing the work
Nice to have
alone,
advice.
solo, however heroic that might look. Yeah, I guess heroicism and martyrdom, the way
This was
the way
supposed
that
to
it
be
was
one
looked,
sentence. How long have
maybe
we
I
been
just
here
don't
for?
believe that's how we'll get the job done anymore. I think anything good will get done.
God.
So I think that book, and I think that
She means
idea,
blue sky.
that revolutionized my
This
approach.
has been
I
like,
love that. Yeah, that's a great
no,
answer. It's beautiful.
5
I
minute
wanna read that
answer.
book now.
Yeah.
I haven't
Look how
read it
much
yet.
more we have left to
You should have
go.
it
It's
on
like
the
20 more
podcast.
minutes or
Yeah,
some
shit,
shit.
yeah, absolutely. Question number 2, what is the worst advice you've ever heard or received?
Oh, this is why. Hang on. There we go.
So much.
1.25.
How long have you got? God, mostly just like, I think a lot of stuff around toughen up, bottle it up,
Yes, you should.
deal with
Get
that
good.
later.
Skill
Just like
diff.
subtle versions of like, well, maybe tell the truth, but just not all of it. Just maybe just like tell like a little bit of it, but not like
What
the
was the
whole
good
thing,
advice?
you know?
Apparently,
'Cause,
don't
like, the
be an
truth is, the
activist in a
problem with,
certain
like, telling
perspective.
3/4 of the
That's what her
truth
advice was. And
is
now
that
she's
then you're
just
sort of in this like constant
complaining.
peeling and unpeeling of yourself, where you sort of like, you're sort of trying to do it, but you're not quite doing it. And I don't know. I think a lot of advice around that. Also, anyone that tells you not to do what you love, terrible advice. Doing what you love will lead you where you need to go, even if you can't see it at the time.
Okay. I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
Christ.
I was thinking about terrible beauty tips and advice I've given around, like,
go on.
I don't know, just like, oh God, again, like back to our previous conversation, all the ridiculous things that you are encouraged to try and do as a woman, like fake
What?
tan. And I mean, it's hilarious. I actually, right now, it might be like well covered up, but I accidentally had a bottle of fake tan in my bathroom, and in my jet lag state last night, I thought I was putting moisturizer on, but now I have like these like horrific fake tan marks on my legs and feet. I guess I'm just thinking about just like, oh my God. And recently I was like, okay, I want to get my teeth whitened. And I looked like Ross from Friends when he'd had that awful fake tanning accident,
That's
because
funny.
they were just way too white. And then I had to go back for 2 other visits to get the dentist to put my teeth back to my normal teeth. So I guess I was just laughing, thinking about like worse advice is just like, don't
just beauty
ever
stuff.
listen to
Okay,
beauty
cool.
technicians or anyone advising you to do anything weird to your
I estimate
body,
60
face,
shots were
appearance.
drank from this
Just
interview.
don't-
Aw, dude,
don't
we would
listen.
be
Don't-
like
don't take the bait. Just don't do it.
all under the table.
good.
Every single one of us.
That's fantastic.
Disper would be the first to
Question
go.
number 3, how are you,
Because
how are
he'd
you
probably
now
taken
going
2
to
shots in
choose
once.
work projects or activism differently?
Does the person that's asking me to do something with them, can they confidently look at me and say that they care about me far more than like what we're producing? And do I care about them that way? One of my favorite people I worked with, Steve Chbosky, I remember
That was on
him
Perks of Being a Wallflower.
leaving what was a very productive rehearsal or script meeting with Logan Lerman, Ezra Miller, and I. And he was like,
Sure,
"I
she
need to
name
go do my
dropped
work
Ezra
now."
Miller.
And we were like,
Remember
I don't think
him?
I've ever heard. I mean, at that point,
They're
I certainly
bros.
hadn't
Did
ever
you
heard
know
a
that?
director in my
They're
career
homies.
say they needed to leave for a personal reason or for a personal relationship. But I worked far harder for Steve than I worked for any other director, because I think I was able to give a far more vulnerable performance in that film, because I felt that he really
With your shit
cared
American
about
accent.
me
What up?
beyond the product of the film. And I want to work with people like that, for whom the process is as important as the outcome, and the people that are part of it are more important than whatever the outcome is. I think this is a really
No, she
difficult
wasn't.
thing
She was
that I
she
see
played his
everywhere
brother
in the world
in
right now,
Perks
is
of
that
Being a
we
Wallflower.
treat objects and things like they're sacred, and we don't treat people like they're the sacred thing. And that switch, yeah, I think it causes a lot of pain.
Emma, something that you told me when we were speaking on the phone was that you've been working with young people on helping them with some of the challenges that you faced in your own career and your own life.
Yeah.
And I remember being so touched by that. And I wanted to learn more and for you to share it because I just
like
think it's really special. And I was sharing this on my
Half-Brothers
team before you arrived and everyone was quite drawn to it. So
as a young person, and as I've basically shared over however long it's been that we've been speaking, I just really needed to be having more conversations with people my own age and people that were older than me. I feel like I tried to navigate so many problems on my own and I just didn't know who to really speak to. And I was speaking to such a narrow group
She played his brother?
people about
Oh, okay,
what I was trying
listen.
to navigate.
Emma played Ezra
just,
Miller's sister.
I
Sorry.
think that working with young people and giving them each other and also the space, the reason, the excuses to talk about the things that we don't talk about or create spaces for has been the most gratifying.
All right, we are now
the most
2 hours, 31 minutes in. We got like 7
in a long
minutes
time
left, and we have not gotten anything of substance.
It turns out pretty often that a lot of the things that we're struggling with, other people are struggling with as well. And so in a way, going back around and trying to put out into the world a lot of the things that I knew I needed as a young person and didn't get, it's been the best, most gratifying thing. And I feel really lucky to be in a position and in a place where I can say and know, like I've kind of done this treacherous journey, and I think I might have some ideas about what might be needed for someone to come out the other side of that safely. So it feels good to be of use.
Yeah, I love that. Fifth and final question we ask this to every guest who's ever been on the show. If you could create one law that everyone in the world had to follow, what would it be?
Oh, wow. One law. Okay, there's a couple of contenders. I want to run them through with you. One is going to be...
We'll vote on them.
Okay, great, perfect. One would be around the importance of telling the truth or like speaking your truth, or just because...
Yeah, here you are saying that trans women
so
are
much chaos
women.
is caused by people not being sure whether or not they should, or it's a good idea to, or I think that would be a pretty amazing one. Another contender, I mean, it's the obvious one, is treat other people as you would like to be treated. That would obviously solve a lot of problems as well.
I like that one you gave.
The last one?
Yeah, the first one.
Oh, the first one. Yeah, the truth. Yeah. I guess it took me a long time.
The truth. And what about property rights?
Probably through doing my yoga teacher training, is speaking truth with kindness is one of the first niyamas, right? Very disappointed I can't remember what the word is in...
Not sattva?
Maybe, yeah. Speaking the truth with speaking the truth with kindness.
I think
there's an amazing quote, which actually was given to me recently by a friend, which is like, the truth without kindness is brutality, and kindness without truth is manipulation.
Say that again.
Truth without kindness is brutality, and kindness without truth is manipulation. And so when I say like tell your truth, I don't mean going around like just being awful to everyone. I mean like telling the microscopic truth and like having those, being willing to have a tolerance for those conversations. One of my favorite metaphors, I actually wrote about this recently.
Starting like Tina Fey, you're not wrong, dude.
Like, in a way, it's a dance, it's a fight. Like I think about boxing in the sense of like, who is going to go down to the mat with you and like not tap out? Because being honest about what's really going on is uncomfortable and it's risky. As we talked about earlier, you risk
your
every time you tell the truth
just
of maybe losing someone that you love because you don't know how they're going to respond to whatever your truth is. But I think to live that way creates the intimacy and connection that I think we long for, and also like sets people free in a way, you and them. Truth with kindness. I think that's going to have to be my choice by factor of deduction.
Yeah, the Bhagavad Gita gives 4 principles for truth with kindness. The first is what you speak should be truthful.
Yes.
The second is it should be beneficial to all.
Ooh.
The third is it shouldn't agitate the minds of others.
Wow.
And the fourth is it should be aligned with eternal wisdom and timeless wisdom.
That's beautiful and perfect because, I think there's truths which are, if they're not beneficial, that do just agitate. I think that's...
And it's not about not saying it. It's the idea that you've thought so much about how you say it.
I feel like my
it's not that you've sanitized it because that's the modern day version. The Gita's not telling you to sanitize or be silenced.
Right.
It's telling you to filter your thought to make sure that the way you say it is digestible.
Yes.
For everyone who's going to hear it. And therefore it actually has transformative power. It's not that it's not provocative or that it doesn't. It's just that you're not saying it in a way to trigger or get a reaction.
Yeah.
You're saying it in a way that hits someone like an arrow of truth.
Wow.
It goes, I have to change.
Oh, wow.
Because that person has been so mindful of how they spoke.
Oh my God, that's incredible.
There it is.
Everything I've just
Good for you, Emma. That's 3 times on this show.
If everyone was mindful enough about how they spoke their truth, that it could just go straight to the heart. Oh,
rather than hit the ego along the way in the mind.
Yeah,
And that's why we can't talk, because everything we
slay.
say triggers someone's mind or their ego,
Christ
and then everything we
almighty.
say does it back. And so now we're having a
Yeah.
mind and
Why
ego
did I do
debate,
this to
which
myself?
isn't the one that goes all the way to tap, you know,
Why
in
am
your,
I this
Always
way?
they focus on defending whatever the thing is that we feel that we need to defend, that we just can't
can't get to
let.
the heart.
No, you can't hit the
No?
heart. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Emma, thank you
Yes,
for
Thank
the longest
you.
recorded conversation
Thanks, Armis.
in On Purpose history. We had to change the cards, the cameras. We had to and we haven't paused. Just so everyone knows.
wanted to be
Just so everyone knows.
mortified.
Me and Emma have not moved, so we didn't take a break.
No.
There was no bathroom break.
No.
There was no break of whatever kind. We
coffee
both
break.
sat. There was no coffee break. We have sat in these seats for the entire duration that you watch this show or listen to it. And so, Emma, you have the. To your competitive and winning spirit, you have the award for longest ever podcast recording.
I don't know whether to be mortified or like seriously
Jesus.
embarrassed or like feel like this is some kind of victory of some kind. I guess we sat here for and not moved for more than 3 hours.
Really, yeah.
Surely.
It's amazing.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much.
So they
It's been
cut
such an amazing
20 minutes,
conversation.
whatever
If you
that
love
is.
this episode, you'll love my interview with Dr. Gabor Mate on understanding your
I don't
trauma
think I
and how
will.
to heal emotional wounds to start moving on from the past.
Is he?
Them green and vulnerable.
All right. Okay, cool. All right, so this isn't just another interview. It's Emma Watson's. Okay, can you guys see that? There you go. Let's see. It's Emma Watson's first podcast ever and a long form conversation over 5 years. This is exactly how I imagine a grown up version of Hermione to be: warm, kind, and considerate. Is that what? When you look at Emma, you see this kindness radiating from her. These people, did they watch the same video we did? And by the way, shout out to everybody for actually surviving and watching this entire episode with me. It's so refreshing seeing a natural woman with normal lips, normal eyes, light makeup, and normal body. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Whatever. Can you imagine getting a call that Emma Watson wants to talk to you? No, because she never would. Well-detailed video. Did we watch the same thing? This healed something in me? This girl worked her ass off as a child to give herself this time for self-journey discovery. Oh, wow, whoa, whoa. All right, listen. What I've done is I've actually, hang on, let me do it this way. I've gone and opened up all the freaking, by the way, I really don't like that this thing just likes to move on its own. Hang on, let's see. If I move it out, get out. Out, I say. Okay, clearly he doesn't want to get out. Wow. All right, I'm trying to move my ninja chat, and he just doesn't want to move. Oh wait, maybe if I do that. Okay, there we go. All right, this is gonna go over here now. Go like that. Boop, boop. Okay. All right. Let me grab some of the links because I have everything open right now. Let me put that over there. I'm gonna put that over there. I have 5 tabs, guys, so bear with me. There's a lot, and I want to make sure I get this right. Okay. We got this one over there. And that one over there. Wow, there's a lot of tabs. Okay, over there. I got some reactions to people responding to the big essay that she wrote. Alright, and then we even have a BBC article that I found, because, I love the BBC. Alright. Alright, I graduated 10 years ago, but I guess I'm still a college boy. Okay. That's so annoying that when I copy and paste something from full screen, it just moves automatically. That is annoying. Alright, well, I guess we're gonna have to do this. Boop. Okay. We're gonna have to deal with it. Sorry, chat. Okay. What does the BBC stand for? Well, I'll tell you. Okay, so let's start with, we're gonna go big. The chat, though. The chat is always in the way, isn't it? No. Okay. Let's do it. Let's go over here then. That is so annoying. So annoying. Alright, chat. You're just gonna have to hang out like that. Sorry about that. Okay. So here's the first one that happened September 25th, right? So 4 days ago as of streaming today. And that was when the interview basically dropped. Because if we look, this dropped. What day? September 24th, 2025, okay? So then she says, a little reminder for anyone who may be regretting their very public sprint to the front of the mob and is now trying to discreetly shove their pitchfork out of sight. Because if you remember, Emma Watson was one of the very first people to speak out when J.K. Rowling wrote the letter. And she was saying, trans women are all women, blah, 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 blah. And then she did that little snarky thing when she was like, I'm here for all the witches. You remember that too? That was a couple years ago. Yeah. Then there's This one, where she's like, I'm already missing at Intel Lay's Angela Rayner, but I'm here for all the spoofs. And it's because this woman did a spoof of Emma Watson. So we're going to watch this because it's honestly, this is better than the interview.
When it comes to my relationship with Jo, obviously, I will never forget the opportunity that she gave me. She saw something so special in me that she knew she had to bring me into her creative vision.
Come on,
and
it's
make
perfect.
me part of that. And I will forever be grateful. She changed the entire trajectory of my life. And I'll never forget that. It's such a privilege. It truly is. And I will always
Come on, that's
hold
good.
space for her and so much love in my heart for her. And I would hope that she felt the same way about me. But also, I stand shoulder to shoulder with those who would wish harm on her, hate her, and would wish the absolute worst for her in her life. But those seemingly incompatible, those two things can
Uncanny
exist
accurate,
at
right?
the same time, which is why I love this incredibly diverse world that we live in. It can be so visionary, it can be so artistic, it can have so much depth of love and anguish at the same time, and peace and war and time and space. But we can all come together and also seemingly push each other apart and distance ourselves expediently. But I truly feel that there will always be a warmth and a love between myself and her. I know she's still writing, and hopefully those writings will one day become hit movies and perhaps a franchise, and maybe she would consider working with me again down the line.
Pretty
She hasn't
good.
called me in a while, so I don't know if that would be possible. But I truly would love to reconnect with her, and I hope she understands how much I truly love her.
It's pretty good. Pretty damn good. I wonder. Oh, look, followed by J.K. Rowling. Perfect. Like, honestly, it's accurate because, Emma Watson's so uneducated, right? Like, the way she speaks, it was just so not eloquent whatsoever, and even though she thinks she is. And then you get, like, J.K. Rowling, who's actually an author, can write and be eloquent and intellectual. It's amazing. So then, this spoof person, the parody, says, I'm obviously flattered by the need to community note my Emma Watson parody to inform people that it's parody on my account that states I'm also a satirist. But also, really, I've got 10 solid years on Emma Watson. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube, thanks. And I'm pretty sure this was, like, retweeted by J.K. Rowling, too, so that's pretty funny. Now, here's another one. It says, Emma's passing admission that she still feels love for the woman who created her most famous role was enough to get her attacked by the Be Kind lot. So what's the point in complying? And J.K. Rowling quote tweeted this sign. It's quite extraordinary how many people think a crocodile will be so grateful you fed it red meat for years that it'll let you stroll away unharmed when you decide you want a break. Again, pretty powerful. And now here is the very big frickin' essay. All right, you guys can see that pretty well, I think. Okay, let's do this. So this was posted this morning. I woke up and saw this. And she says, I'm seeing quite a bit of comment about this, so I want to make a couple of points. I'm not owed eternal agreement from any actor who once played a character I created. The idea is as ludicrous as me checking with the boss I had when I was 21 for what opinions I should hold these days. Emma Watson and her co-stars have every right to embrace gender identity ideology. Such beliefs are legally protected, and I wouldn't want to see any of them threatened with loss of work or violence or death because of them. Notice that this is basically the same thing as Papa Ezadu, who is now Black Snape, who's going to be, he's pro-trans, pro-Palestine, the exact same thing. However, Emma and Dan in particular have both made it clear over the last few years that they think our former professional association gives them a particular right, nay, obligation to critique me and my views in public. Years after they finished acting Potter, they continue to assume the role of de facto spokespeople for the world I created. Again, also true because Emma and Dan were the most vocal about it. Like, Rupert did say something, but he also said, yeah, she's my auntie and I love her. Like, he was the most, level-headed of them all. I disagree with her, but I love her. They didn't say that. So, carry on. All right, then it says, when you've known people since they were 10 years old, it's hard to shake a certain protectiveness. Until quite recently, I hadn't managed to throw off the memory of children who need to be gently coaxed through dialogue in a big, scary film studio. For the past few years, I've repeatedly declined invitations from journalists to comment on Emma specifically, most notably on the witch trials of J.K. Rowling. I've actually listened to those. They're pretty good. I listened to I missed one. I think I missed the last episode, but I listened to almost all of them. Ironically, I told the producers that I didn't want her to be hounded as the result of anything I said. Notice how she's protecting Emma and saying, no, I don't want to do these interviews because I don't want her to be in fire, when it's the complete opposite with Emma Watson with J.K. Rowling, right? Mm-hmm. Tom Felton will be coaching, also backed her. Yeah, I mean, Tom Felton doesn't ever say anything, really, but he's still friends with Jo to this day, and he says she's allowed to have her opinions, and that she built this wonderful world that still exists to this day that people learn from, and you think that's beautiful. Hey, why not? All right. The television presenter in the attached clip highlights Emma's all witches speech, and in truth, that was a turning point for me, but it had a postscript that hurt far more than the speech itself. Emma asked someone to pass on a handwritten note from her to me, which contained the single sentence, "I'm sorry for what you're going through. She has my phone number." What? How diabolical is Emma? Calling her out, which, by the way, that's what I was referring to, like an hour ago, right? So she was all like, I'm here for all the witches. She said that, meaning like all the trans witches and all the witches, basically excluding J.K. Rowling and all this stuff, right? And the fact that you can't even pick up the phone and call her, you have someone else hand you a note saying, I'm sorry for the shit you're going through. This was back when death and rape and torture threats against me were at their peak, at a time when my personal security measures had to be tightened considerably, and I was constantly worried for my family's safety. Emma has just publicly poured more petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. Like other people who've never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of real life, she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. She'll never need a homeless shelter. She's never going to be placed on a mixed-sex public hospital ward. I'd be astounded if she's been in high street changing rooms since childhood. Her public bathroom is single occupancy and comes with a security man standing guard outside the door. Has she had to strip off in a newly mixed-sex changing room at a council-run swimming pool? Is she ever likely to need a state-run rape crisis center that refuses to guarantee an all-female service? To find herself sharing a prison cell with a male rapist who's identified into women's prison? Again, things that Emma Watson will never have to deal with, right? All right, let's keep going. By the way, you guys are doing fantastic stuff in the chat. All right, I wasn't a millionaire at 14. I lived in poverty while writing the book that made Emma famous. I therefore understand from my own life experience what the thrashing of women's rights in which Emma has so enthusiastically participated means to women and girls without her privileges. Mind you, it's also really funny because Emma Watson is like that captain of that rowing team in Oxford, so it's like, are there all women on that team? Are there trans women on that team, Emma? I have a video on that on my channel too, just saying. The greatest irony here is that had Emma not decided in her most recent interview to declare that she loves and treasures me, a change of tack I suspect she's adopted because she's noticed full-throated condemnation of me as no longer quite as fashionable as it was, I might never have been this honest. Damn, bro. So, like, Emma did this to herself, let's be real. Adults can't express to cozy up to an activist movement that regularly calls for a friend's assassination, and then assert their right to the former friend's love as though the friend was in fact their mother. Emma is rightfully free to disagree with me and indeed to discuss her feelings about me in public, but I have the same right, and I finally decided to exercise it. Fatality. Bruh. So here's the clip in question, by the way. Let's play this.
Well, I'd like to think so, and I think there are some other positive signs too that things are shifting. When you see the media starting to say trans women are men, then I think we really are winning. But Emma Watson was careful, wasn't she, not to go too far. I think what she's going to find now is you can't sit on the fence. She was a real cheerleader for Mermaids, the charity, and for transitioning children and for people knowing who they are.
There's also kind of there's that clip of her at the BAFTAs, and it was just kind of like a really snidey, there's that bit where she says, I'm here for all the witches, like, but one. It was just nasty.
For all the witches.
Right when J.K. Rowling was getting a lot of rape threats, death threats.
So whether she is trying to row back from that full-hearted support for transitioning children, or whether she's just trying to get back in with J.K. Rowling in the hope of work, who knows? Richard Dawkins is an interesting case because, you know, I'm sure when he wrote The God Delusion, he thought that was quite out there. It turns out that saying men can't become women is even more out there. And who would have thought that? But he is someone whose career
Maisie
is
Williams
so
is worse.
Established.
I never liked Maisie
Williams,
Williams, so I don't care about her.
The real win is when ordinary people can say those things. And I don't think we're quite there yet. Well, I'd like to...
All right, so there's that. And then, okay, so this is from Bruno. Wasn't in Bruno, who's Portuguese, he's from Brazil. But he had this, this is translated. By the way, you should totally subscribe to his YouTube channel if you can speak Portuguese. Oh, there is a dub, though. All right, the disappointment I had felt last week came right back at the start of this week, and this time I think it's here to stay. There are 3 things I can't stand and find very hard to deal with: hypocrisy, deceit, and disloyalty. And in this whole story, only one person seems to be guilty of all 3. And I highly agree with Bruno on this one. I really do, because he's talking about Emma Watson being a piece of shit. Now there's also Rob Schneider. The world is finally waking up from this woke bullshit. Like other people who've never experienced adult life uncushioned by wealth and fame, Emma has so little experience of real life, she's ignorant of how ignorant she is. Ugh. Then there's this guy, Jonathan K. His whole post from the Queen is breathtakingly scathing, but this is my favorite line. Emma had just perfectly poured more petrol on the flames, yet thought a one-line expression of concern from her would reassure me of her fundamental sympathy and kindness. Also true. And then another one from Bruno. I think it's the same one. Is it? I don't know. Let's see. Okay, here it is. This is another one. My disappointment with Emma comes from this, and I've experienced it firsthand and can speak with authority. And for those who still haven't understood this, let it sink in once and for all. Someone who loves you will never destroy you in public. Someone who is your friend will never engage in fabricated gossip to tear you down. They will never use your pain or your controversies as a springboard. If you need to be corrected, someone who loves you will do it in private, not in public. Knowing that Emma sent a support note to J.K. Rowling while contributing to her cancellation shows a level of falsehood, coldness, and hypocrisy that is terrifying. And I absolutely wholeheartedly agree with this. This is so true. Like, what a bitch. Just honestly, Emma, what a bitch. You have made yourself out to be like the biggest piece of shit. Am I wrong here? I'm just saying. Now, there is this article from the BBC, and I have not actually read this yet. But I'm assuming it's absolutely nothing burger. It literally just looks like the interview. Turning point, blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry for what you're going through. Yeah, okay, so this is literally just a recap of the interview, which we don't have to look at because we've already seen it. But that is basically it, guys. I just had to go and share all that with you guys. I think it's insane. So, she had a way too sheltered of a life. I agree. Totally agree. It reminds me of that scene of the wall breaking down. They put up a single duct tape over it. So that's why they suddenly hate her. Oh, Emma Watson? No, Emma Watson's been on the shit list for like the last 5 years, ever since she like threw J.K. Rowling to the wolves. Emma's not getting more work after this sex scene. I mean, she hasn't been working in ages. So maybe, and like, she doesn't have to work, right? She's a millionaire. So if she wants to work, hey, by all means, go for it. But she doesn't actually have to. The culture is correcting herself. She realized, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we got that one. So, yeah, there it is. Shocking, the J.K. Rowling portion of the stream only took 0.7% of the time. Well, because we had to watch the entire interview. I wanted to see everything that she had to say. I didn't want to, like, take anything out of context because I saw a lot of these clips beforehand, right? I saw what she said about J.K. Rowling beforehand, but I was like, okay, maybe there's something before and after, but I always wanted to watch for, everything. Although I do like this one right here. I'm here for all the subtweets, bar one. I like that one. That's good. We're going to like that, too. That's a good one. Good. All right. So, Rowling does not do a lot of interviews, I think. So she did that the witch trial once in 2023. I highly recommend you check them out. They're pretty interesting, and they do get pretty political, but they do tell you about her experiences. Like her ex-husband would like beat the shit out of her, and like she ended up once in the streets, like just covered in bruises and blood and stuff because he beat her up. When she was writing the manuscript for Potter, she couldn't get it copied, so she couldn't take the entire thing to work because he would notice if she took something that he's that controlling. So she would take a little pages at a time and copy them and leave them at work and put them back so she wouldn't know. Like, yeah. He's insane, the ex-husband. Like, so I understand where she's coming from, right? She's a victim of domestic abuse and everything. So I get how she feels about women's spaces, and I am for that. I also think that men should have men's spaces too. Same. So yeah. Okay. I'm getting pretty tired now. We've been here for almost 3 hours, which is nuts. Okay, guys. So, any final things to say? That's screwed up entirely. I really recommend you guys check out that witch trials thing. It's far more entertaining and like thought-provoking than whatever the fuck this thing was with Emma Watson for 2 hours, 38 minutes, and 14 seconds of bullshit. That's right. All right, guys. So thank you very much for watching. I'm going to unlist this stream on the Blabs Life channel and the Rumble channel because I'm going to go and upload them to the main channels on both YouTube and Rumble. Just fair warning for you guys, okay? All right. Sick Brain Rock. Peace out. See you later, okay? All right, guys. You take care now. I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Where's the bye button? Okay, bye, everybody.